this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. So when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it comes to making an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the one you'll call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa, inside and out. With stain-resistant slipcovers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Hey, this is U.S. Olympic gold medalist Tara Davis-Woodhull.
And I'm U.S. Paralympic gold medalist Hunter Woodhull.
As athletes, our lives are about having a clear path.
And a team that you can absolutely trust.
So when it came to getting the best mortgage,
we chose PennyMac.
PennyMac is proud to be the official mortgage provider of Team USA and you.
Learn more at pennymac.com. PennyMac Loan Services, LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 35953. Licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Conditions and restrictions may apply.
Zone Media.
Hey everybody, Robert Evans here, and I wanted to let you know this is a compilation episode. So every episode of the week that just happened is here in one convenient and with somewhat less ads package for you to listen to in a long stretch if you want. If you've been listening to the episodes every day this week, there's going to be nothing new here for you, but you can make your own decisions.
Welcome to It Could Happen Here. I'm Garrison Davis. Amidst attempts by President Trump to seize control of Greenland last month during the World Economic Forum, administration officials started posting images of a penguin. On January 23rd, the White House shared an artificial image of Trump walking hand in flipper alongside a penguin holding an American flag across a snowy tundra towards mountains bearing the flag of Greenland. The caption read, "Embrace the penguin." The flags look like poorly photoshopped stock images, while the rest of the image appears to be generated by AI. Immediately, this post sparked ridicule across various online platforms, based on the fact that there aren't any penguins in Greenland. Penguins don't live in the Northern Hemisphere, save for zoos and the Galapagos Islands of Ecuador. So, the foolish Trump has been bested once again in the arena of facts and logic. Except this White House penguin post was actually in reference to a TikTok meme that was currently going super viral. In mid-January, remixed footage from Werner Herzog's Arctic documentary Encounters at the End of the World, featuring a lone penguin breaking off from the flock and marching towards some icy mountains, started spreading around TikTok, synced to an organ cover of L'amour toujours, a song which has been adopted by far-right anti-immigration groups in Europe the past few years. This combination of music and footage soon spread to other short-form video platforms like Instagram Reels, with the featherless subject being dubbed the Lonely Penguin. On January 20th, a more explicitly political version went kind of viral with over 20,000 likes, with the addition of a Friedrich Nietzsche quote, "I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and impossible," unquote, with the caption, "Save Europe, #remigration." That same day, an edit with 36,000 likes by the TikTok account Epic History 32, captioned "Do the Hard Thing," played the documentary footage with Herzog's narration overlaid with images of historical figures and pop culture characters like Alexander the Great, Caesar, Joan of Arc, King Richard I, King Baldwin IV, Genghis Khan, Aragorn, Jon Snow, Luke Skywalker, and Spider-Man? An op-ed in Fox News by the daughter of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy referred to these as quote-unquote Western heroes. To quote this op-ed, in the film, Herzog shows a lone penguin peeling away from the safety of its colony and heading inland, towards certain death, according to Herzog. But the online right saw something else. Users, mostly male, saw the penguin as a powerful rebuke of secular modernity. They interpreted the penguin not as lost, but as a free thinker. To them, he was rejecting the colony. In today's terms, that means rejecting secular postmodern orthodoxy and marching toward a greater purpose, unquote. So, though Herzog in this documentary refers to this penguin as deranged, as a meme, users identified with the penguin as a symbol of masculine rebellion against what they view as mainstream culture, and the solitary trek up the mountains as a metaphor for the struggle of individual greatness. Clips of men on outdoor adventures and climbing mountains Zarathustra style, with the caption "Be the Penguin," spread wildly online, the most popular reaching 4.2 million likes, and other penguin-themed videos getting hundreds of thousands of likes. The Herzog penguin meme piggybacked and partially merged with an older right-wing penguin-based meme video from 2 years ago of a drag queen asking a kid about boys wearing makeup. The kid responds that boys can't wear makeup, so the drag queen asks the kid who told him that, and this confused child looks around and sees a cartoon penguin on the wall, points to it and says, "That penguin over there." 618,000 likes.
What do you think about men who wear makeup?
You can't put it into boys.
Who said?
The penguin over there.
The penguin?
This video and this figure of the penguin has since been used as a symbol for masculine resistance to the LGBTQ agenda. And this new penguin meme pertains to tap into a uniquely masculine urge, as explained by this TikToker who racked up 42,000 likes.
I hate to be the one to say it, but the penguin didn't make it. But does that mean he died in vain? No, his life was not a tragedy. It was an inspiration. He left a legacy most of us could only hope for. It would be easy to quote Nietzsche here, but that wouldn't do it justice. The penguin spoke to something inside all of us men, a desire for more, to push our limits and see what we're truly made of. Sometimes our purpose is the impact that we leave behind.
On January 23rd, the Department of War Rapid Response account posted, "Be a warrior, embrace the penguin," with an AI-generated image of 5 men wearing the uniform of each military branch walking towards the mountains alongside a penguin. Secretary Kennedy posted a "Make America Healthy Again" edit of the penguin meme with the organ music over an AI video of RFK Jr. and a penguin walking to the mountains. On-screen text reads, "The mainstream made us sick. Choose the healthier path." The Health and Human Services government account quote tweeted this video with the caption, "Locking in after watching that penguin edit," unquote. Soy-occupied government. An anti-immigration advocacy account created a viral AI image of a large, evidently prosperous colony of penguins gathered under the banner of multiculturalism. It reads that as a giant banner, juxtaposed to a lone penguin facing the mountains and a sign reading "Remigration Now." Across the pond, the London mayoral candidate for the far-right Reform Party in the UK, Lila Cunningham, copied Trump's version of the penguin meme with an artificial image of her holding hands with a penguin walking towards some snowy mountains surrounding the Tower Bridge in London. The caption reads, "Choose a new path for London before it's too late." The last penguin post we'll consider is a video edit from the Department of Homeland Security. It starts like many of the viral TikTok and Reels videos with footage and narration from Herzog's documentary, which I will finally play here.
But one of them caught our eye, the one in the center. He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
After the narration cuts out, the music continues as a fan cam style montage plays Trump, military helicopters, SWAT-style home raids, and ICE and Border Patrol arresting people. The video is captioned, "Americans have always known why," in response to Herzog's query. This post from the DHS asserts that part of the essence of America is breaking away from the herd and forging your own path. Those who don't understand Trump's desire to control Greenland at the risk of further damaging our geopolitical standing just suffer from herd mentality and will never be strong enough to take the kind of risks that are core to the existence of this country. On January 24th, the White House posted, "The penguin does not concern himself with the opinions of those who cannot comprehend." For Trump, Venezuela, Greenland, imperial expansion is an existential mission to achieve some mythic frontier greatness, and only true Americans can understand why. The Fox News Penguin op-ed by Christian nationalist Sean Duffy's daughter, wow, that's a nightmare sentence, reads, quote, "For Trump, the penguin is an apt symbol for the president's decade-long fight against the radical left. Everything Trump does is opposed by the global power brokers. Even the president's push to obtain Greenland has been fanatically opposed by hysterical European elites. America was built by penguins, and by that I mean rebels, pilgrims, frontier men and women, conquistadors and cowboys. We are a nation founded by risk-takers who left the colony for the mountains. We are descended from men who suffered and died to carve civilization out of wilderness. It is our inheritance," unquote. Now, what this DHS penguin video doesn't include, but has already been alluded to by some of the other videos I've played, is the actual context of this lone bird's journey and its sad fate. We will return to discuss penguin insanity after this ad break. We're back. Though the 2026 version of the penguin meme was dubbed the Lonely Penguin, earlier meme videos of this documentary footage from years past carried the titles Deranged Penguin or Nihilist Penguin. Before the footage of this lone penguin plays in the documentary, Herzog asks a penguin expert if they can experience insanity.
Is there such thing as insanity among penguins? I try to avoid the definition of insanity or derangement. I don't mean that a penguin might believe he or she is Lenin or Napoleon Bonaparte. But could they just go crazy because they've had enough of their colony?
Well, I've never seen a penguin bashing its head against a rock. They do get disoriented. They end up in places they shouldn't be, long way from the ocean.
The political invocations of this footage largely ignore Werner Herzog's own speculation on why the penguin is marching towards the mountains in the far-off distance and its inevitable fate.
One of these disoriented or deranged penguins showed up at the New Harbor diving camp, already some 80 kilometers away from where it should be. And here he's heading off into the interior of the vast continent. With 5,000 kilometers ahead of him, he's heading towards certain death.
The penguin is not the Ubermensch. The penguin will not achieve individual greatness at the summit of the mountain because it's never going to get there. As friend of the pod Dan Olson so eloquently put it, the penguin is going to die. Though the penguin does not bash its head on a rock, this separation from society is still an act of suicide. The deranged penguin has literally turned its back on food, water, shelter, and the colony to die wandering towards mountains that it will never reach. The Trump administration's embrace of this suicidal penguin as a "that's literally me" figure is a shockingly open display of fascism's relation to the death drive. It's just so naked to make your mascot a symbol of suicidal defiance against perceived cultural norms. They're doing a first as tragedy, twice as farce. For fascist death emblems, the Nazis get the skull, we get a fucking penguin. But the penguin is not the first modern American suicidal folk hero. The killdozer rampage of public destruction, which ended in the suicide of the perpetrator, has been a mascot for the libertarian right for over 2 decades. And in 2018, a 28-year-old airport ground service agent named Richard Russell hijacked an empty plane at SeaTac to fly over Mount Rainier before killing himself by purposefully crashing the plane. Very similar to Herzog's deranged penguin. Russell left behind a wife of 6 years, but became a sort of nihilistic folk hero to overly online young men, especially among the online far-right on places like 4chan and Telegram, where he was dubbed Sky King. Last August, a congressional Republican from Georgia, Mike Collins, who serves on the Republican Transportation Committee, posted a glowing, multi-paragraph memorial for Richard Russell on the anniversary of his suicide, signing off the message with "Rest in peace, Sky King." But the direct identification of the Trump administration with a suicidal penguin is a step farther. The fascist appetite for death is well understood, but the death drive represents a usually subconscious desire to not only harm or kill others, but ultimately yourself. An attempt to ease the tensions driving social life by returning to a prior inorganic state. This desire can be channeled through the politics of fascism, which allow for violent, paranoid manifestations of repressed internal contradictions, which attempt to be resolved through death. But fascism itself is a contradiction between a primitive war machine and a stable state apparatus, and the way that tension is released is also self-destruction. In the second volume of Capitalism and Schizophrenia, 1,000 Plateaus, by philosopher Gilles Deleuze and psychoanalyst Felix Guattari, they discuss the ways in which fascism and totalitarianism differ. They write that totalitarianism is a state affair made up of material components that overmanage society. Quote, "Even in the case of a military dictatorship, it is a state army, not a war machine, that takes power and elevates the state to the totalitarian stage. Totalitarianism is quintessentially conservative. Fascism, on the other hand, involves a war machine. When fascism builds itself a totalitarian state, it is not in the sense of a state army taking power, but of a war machine taking over the state." Unquote. This analysis from Deleuze and Guattari is building off of an essay by the French writer Paul Virilio called The Suicidal State, where Virilio argues that in fascism, the state is far less totalitarian than it is suicidal, an evolution of the state that, quote, no longer pretends to be guided internally by reason and progress, but rather non-progress and terror, founded on the repulsion and fear of all development in the civil domain," unquote. This repulsion and fear were manifested in the accelerated destruction of state institutions during the first few months of Trump's second term and Doge's scorched earth approach to slashing government agencies. Virilio writes that during the disappearance of public service, quote, "infrastructures of service are reduced as the wiretaps of the Wehrmacht are restored. Colonial geometry of decolonialization," unquote. So, as the federal government rescinds public services, the everyday presence of the federal government is reduced to masked armed agents in the streets, disappearing our neighbors and shooting civilians, while the president fights in court for the ability to deploy the military against American citizens within our own territory. During the tension of total war or total peace, Virilio says, the system expands and reproduces itself, a material process without an end, but no longer without limits. To quote the Brazilian philosopher Vladimir Safatli, the suicide state, quote, "is not just a manager of death. It is rather the ongoing agent of its own catastrophe, the maker of its own explosion. To be more precise, this new state mixes the death management of entire sectors of its own population with an ongoing and risky flirtation with its own self-destruction," unquote. Virilio's idea of the suicidal state emerges as this new mode of governing to solve the crisis of post-war liberalism in Germany after World War I, as well as risked by the United States after each of our many wars. Quote, "One of the keys to the present situation is, on one side, the overly informed status of experts of the system, and on the other, the underinformed status of all those who are supposedly thinking outside of it," unquote. Virilio says that the experts no longer know how to use their hordes of information except to gain money and status by continually adding to their body of work. Meanwhile, the outsiders produce the political and cultural undercurrent of modern folklore and ordinary life. But this limp dichotomy cannot last for very long on its own. So Virilio proposes the new emergence of a third category of people who make use of information for an end, the ultimate end, the directors of the suicidal state. While the outsiders, ideologues, and artists simply try to simulate catharsis, quote, "By contrast, the third category, the suicidal state, itself produces a feeling for the real. Better, it aims to retain the exclusivity of its production. This feeling is a contempt for and a hatred of the everyday," unquote. To paraphrase Virilio, the fascist project exploits man's alienation from his environment through pollution, economic insecurity, emotional insecurity, desocialization, and seeks to replace any legitimate grievance he has with society with a more repulsive and expressive force, the fear of society, which is superimposed on a new military schema of total war and internal invasion, all towards a nihilistic end of dropping the bomb on ourselves. The oscillation of external and internal destruction, epitomized by the death drive, is mirrored by the imperial boomerang, where the violence of colonial expansion is forced to return to its homeland. Once home, the drive remains, resulting in a war on society, directly or through other means. But this is a war on its own people, or as Trump would say, the enemy within. To quote a paragraph from 1,000 Plateaus, so-called total war seems less a state undertaking than an undertaking of a war machine that appropriates the state and channels it into a flow of absolute war whose only possible outcome is the suicide of the state itself. There is, in fascism, a realized nihilism. Unlike the totalitarian state, which does its utmost to seal all possible lines of escape, fascism is constructed on an intense line of escape, which it transforms into a line of pure destruction and abolition. It is curious that from the very beginning, the Nazis announced to Germany what they were bringing. At once, wedding bells and death, including their own death and the death of the Germans. They thought they would perish, but that their undertaking would be resumed, all across Europe, all over the world, throughout the solar system. And the people cheered. Not because they did not understand, but because they wanted that death through the death of others. Like a will to wager everything you have, every hand, to stake your own death against the death of others. Unquote. In 1,000 Plateaus, Deleuze and Guattari quote an excerpt from Klaus Mann's 1936 novel Mephisto, which contains fascist speeches and ordinary conversations from Nazi Germany. The quote they include is eerily similar to the visuals of Trump as the suicidal penguin. Quote, "Heroism was something that was being ruled out of our lives. In reality, we are not marching forward. We are reeling, staggering. Our beloved Führer is dragging us toward the shades of darkness and everlasting nothingness. How can we poets, who have a special affinity for darkness and lower depths, not admire him?" Unquote. Deleuze and Guattari then write, "Suicide is presented not as a punishment, but as the crowning glory of the death of others. The insufficiency of economic and political definitions of fascism does not simply imply a need to tack on vague, so-called ideological determinations. We prefer to inquiry into the precise formation of Nazi statements, which are just as much in evidence in politics and economics as in the most absurd of conversations. They always contain the stupid and repugnant cry, 'Long live death,' even at the economic level, where the arms expansion replaces growth in consumption and where investment veers from the means of production toward the means of pure destruction." Unquote. Virilio calls this a psychosis which governs its entire politics of production. And he writes that the replacement of the American industries of the automobile and the cinema with the military-industrial complex, quote, "does not involve a rational, functional, or useful choice, but rather entirely psychological, or rather psychopathological. It stems from contempt for and abandonment of productive rapport with the milieu. Every investment is made to escape from it," unquote. For contemporary reference, go check out the stock price of Palantir. And on the larger economic and international level, Trump's tariffs, his trade wars, and the self-destruction of the United States' geopolitical standing are all expressions of this suicidal state in action. Virilio claims the state of total war, where the economy of war has become the economy of peace, is facilitated by a transformation in the American sense of freedom, where, quote-unquote, the free as a subject, as in the land of the free, quote, is no longer properly spoken of as a citizen. He is an anonymous organism, without culture, without society, and without memory. This figure has no historical precedent. Assistance has become survival. Non-assistance, a condemnation to death. All liberation henceforth has for him invariably the appearance of death, of the end, suicide, or murder, unquote. This sort of freedom from social services, freedom from the state, freedom from assistance as a movement of the death drive also provides insight into people's willingness to, and even desire to vote against their own material interests, especially when their political struggle has turned against society itself. Only in transformation of ordinary social life into the horrific, in the minds of the populace, can the fascist, quote, find their surest means of governing, the legitimization of his politics and military strategies, And right up to the end, far from weakening the repulsive nature of his powers, the ruins, the horrors, the crimes, the chaos of total war will generally only increase in scope. In Hitler's 1945 Telegram 71, he writes, "If the war is lost, may the nation perish." Here, Hitler decides to join forces with his enemies in order to complete the destruction of his own people. By obliterating the last remaining sources of its life support system, civil reserves of every kind, potable water, fuel, provisions, this is the normal outcome of the politics of dialectical retreat from the man who had written, "The idea of protection haunts and fulfills life," unquote. Fascism hijacks the mechanism of evolutionary and revolutionary escape and reverts it into a mechanism of destruction. Instead of resolving crises, it produces constant crisis for it to feed off of, forming, as Deleuze and Guattari say, a war machine instead of resonating in a state apparatus. A war machine that no longer had anything but war as its object and would rather annihilate its own servants than stop the destruction, to quote 1,000 Plateaus. This is war not for conquest or revolution, but war as its own end. The hollowing out of public institutions and social services, the divestment from the milieu of life, leads people to turn towards the suicidal state as the only force of movement, resting on, as Virilio says, quote, "the advanced exploitation of our instincts for death, a new totalitarian state defined by the constant ascent of statistics toward planetary death. Crime and madness will no longer be the defects. The madman and the assassin are the legitimate children engendered and recognized by the suicidal state," unquote. And what phenomenon has risen in the United States the past few years? The conspiracy theorist and the assassin. The embrace of total war and the campaign of civil fear necessitates a break from sanity and the bizarre strangeness of means that inevitably result in a self-destructive end. Virilio claims there is an insanity at the heart of the fascist project. The imaginary potential of the fascist state arises, quote, "from a finished world where insanity has become the goal of order, the very product of organization," unquote. There's a quote from Goebbels to one of his aides, Prince Frederick Christian. "The world in which Hitler moves is a world of absolute fate, a world in which even success makes no sense." It's not a mistake that the White House has cast itself as a lost penguin marching to its own death. They know the absurdity of their replies. They know the world looks upon them as insane. They know that they'll never reach the Make America Great Again mountain. The self-destruction, ICE, the tariffs, the broken treaties, are not for any greater purpose. The means are the end. This is total war, the psychological purpose of which is terror, which for the fascist is synonymous with peace. But let's not forget how Hitler and Goebbels finally resolved their contradictions.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. 100. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabay sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slipcovers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit WashableSofas.com to get yours now. That's WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Wasn't that delicious?
So good.
Your bill, ladies.
I got it. No,
I got it.
Seriously, I insist. I insisted first.
Oh, don't be silly.
You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? Business software is expensive. And when you buy software from lots of different companies, it's not only expensive, it gets confusing, slow to use, hard to integrate. Odoo solves that because all Odoo software is connected on a single affordable platform. Save money without missing out on the features you need. Odoo has no hidden costs and no limit on features or data. Odoo has over 60 apps available for any needs your business might have, all at no additional charge. Everything from websites to sales to inventory to accounting, all linked and talking to each other. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
So Trump is kind of moving like a bull in a china shop.
Yes.
Or rather, a bull in a missile shop. You know, I think that's a more apt analogy. The system of government wasn't exactly benign beforehand, you know?
Yeah.
I think it really needs to click for people that Trump is not truly exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, he's a product of the normal that people seem to be yearning for.
Yeah.
You know, and the other issues we're dealing with too.
Yeah, I think like this is the crux of what comes next, right? It's like we have this like I don't want to disparage people. We have this tendency in American politics, this liberal tendency, progressive liberal tendency even, to think that like basically things have been magnificent until the first week of November in 2016, right? That America was progressing on this like linear pathway towards total equality and justice for all. And that what's happening now is an aberration. It's the idea that there's a few individuals conspiring rather than there is a system which inherently creates interests which are opposed to our own, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's like all of these problems, the genocides were waging long before Trump came into power. You know, the economic strains people are feeling today that people have been feeling for decades, for their entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the climate crisis that is only worsened as time has gone on. You know, all of this is a product of that normal, of that pre-Trump normal. And I still hear people asking, you know, when are things going to go back to normal? When can we settle down? When will we go back onto the track of normalcy? And well, if you're listening to this podcast, I think you already know what time it is. This is It Could Happen Here. I'm Andrew Sage, and I'm joined by...
It's James again, here to talk about the new normal.
All right, and welcome.
Thank you, yeah.
The new normal.
Yeah.
The ever-shifting normal.
Right.
The phantom of normal, and why it is that it's really not coming back. And why normalcy as a concept is actually pretty weird. So part of, I think, what feeds into this notion of normal is this myth of progress that people are obsessed with. You know, recently I read this book, Progress, by Samuel Miller MacDonald, And I would like to do a review of it at some point for the podcast. But the short of it is that it gets into just how pervasive this concept of progress is in kind of tripping people up and keeping us serving systems that don't serve us. You know, you mentioned progressives earlier. And, you know, even that notion, I think, of being a progressive, he kind of calls that into question in the course of the book. Going from ancient times to talking about a religious sense of a promised land to the sort of modern sense of a secular or technological progressive improvement, or a social progressive improvement, he identifies it as a story. And a story that's so powerful that it acts like a sedative. You know, we don't engage with the degrading reality of the world around us because we're wrapped up in this all-powerful faith we're bound to progress, that progress is linear, that we're ever striving forward. You know?
Yeah.
And we point to examples of things like social progress, but as he quotes in the book, it's like what Malcolm X said. You know, if I stick a knife into you and I only pull it out 3 inches, that's not progress. Pull it out 6 inches, that's not progress. 9 inches, that's not progress.
Yeah.
Progress would be, you know, removing the knife completely and mending the wound. But I would take it a step further and say that, is it really progress to go back to a state that already was? Is it progress to abolish slavery when there was a time when slavery did not exist? You know, going back to a previous default state is not necessarily contributing to the narrative. Same thing with patriarchy. You know, patriarchy did not always exist.
Yeah.
Eroding and abolishing the patriarchy, reaching a point where the limitations placed on women are no longer there. Can we call that progress, or is it just rectifying a previously imposed state? And so these are some of the questions he grapples with. And there's also, of course, the techno-utopian promise of, you know, we're getting self-driving cars any minute, you know, fusion energy, AI ending work forever. You know, all these things are blind to the social or ecological reality of collapse. But where else would you say you might see this myth showing up in politics? I think I covered a good few, but I might be missing something.
Yeah, like, it's almost in everything, right? Like, it's a fundamental myth of liberal capitalism. I guess, like, it also underlies a certain logic of colonialism, right?
Mm-hmm.
The idea that, like, progress towards a neoliberal state this can be, like, the logic of explicit or less explicit colonialism, I guess. But, like, you see it there too, right? Like you see it in the sort of you see it a lot in 19th century. It's very explicit. The idea to uplift, civilize, and Christianize our little brown brothers.
Yeah, the civilizing mission.
Yeah. The white man's burden and these things that, like, became very, very en vogue in the late 19th, early 20th century, I suppose. You see it a lot there too, right?
Yeah, this whole notion, I think that even really starts with the concept of civilization. When you have that civilized other divide, that binary of the civilized and the barbarian, or the civilized and the savage, and how that gets turned into this mission as civilization expands, that you bring those savage peoples into the fold and you slowly, you know, bring them up, make them upright men, and closer to being human than the state that they were in previously. And the whole narrative around that is what has, as it has evolved with time, led to the situation that we're in now.
Yeah.
And there's this idea as well that even when there are these ruptures in normal, that everything will go back to its right place. But as I've heard people say, you know, history is a series of unprecedented things.
Yeah.
You know? And one of the unprecedented things in history that I wish people would realize is not ever going to come back is that sort of post-war economic boom. You know, that 1950 era growth and excess that has become the default state that many people are striving to return to, when in reality, something like that is a historical anomaly driven by artificially cheap and abundant energy.
Yeah.
You know, the normal that people are talking about sometimes is just this 50 to 70 year fossil fuel binge. A binge that we are reaching the end of, and I think a fantasy to believe that we can replicate for all time.
Right. Yeah, but it's the time that so much of the world that we exist in was created, right? And like people almost see themselves as like a different species from human beings in the 19th century, right?
Yeah.
They can't conceive of society that way.
Exactly. And it's something that I've been dwelling on because like what a time to be alive to see, personal cars being so ubiquitous. But the ubiquity of personal cars is an aberration. It's a historical aberration. It's not one that is likely to be sustainable in the long term. Even if there are electric cars taking the place of gas-powered vehicles and we run out of gas, oil, even the materials necessary to produce electric cars are not always going to be around. They're not always going to exist. We can't supplement each and every individual person with a car for all of time.
Yeah.
So many of the rare earth minerals that are, again, quite rare, we've spent them on things that may serve a novelty or an interest in the short term, but it's not something that we can maintain forever. I hear people talking about this AI bubble, and it is in the sense of the financial markets, the financial aspect of AI and how it's affecting our perception of the economy and whether that bubble is going to burst economically.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more interested in the AI bubble in the sense that how long can this AI everywhere thing persist when the materials necessary to maintain it, because it is material, despite the sort of cloud marketing that gets associated with it. How long until we run out of those materials, until those material needs cannot be sustained?
Yeah, we keep shifting, not like the goalposts, but like the terrain, right? Like, we've run out of fossil fuels. Well, that's fine. We'll do electric. Okay, we'll with the electric actually relies on rare earths. Well, that's fine. We'll find a different thing to make batteries out of, rather than acknowledging that, like, we've created a system.
Or we'll just go to space.
yeah, and trash another planet for another few hundred years. When you're driving your truck and you have a lot of stuff in it and it's hitting the end of the rev counter, like you're trying to pass someone and it's bouncing, it's in the red zone. Like, we've been running in the red zone. Certainly for most of this century, since the Industrial Revolution, or certainly since the end of the Second World War. And like, sustainability is a phrase that's been co-opted, but like, it's just not possible to keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really an anomaly, a blip in our timeline, I would say. And I think ruptures in that normalcy, like the rupture we're experiencing now, provides an opportunity for us to, take an exit ramp, to kind of control the transition, to control our descent. But instead, it seems like we were just rapidly moving towards the more forceful transition, the transition made so by the laws of physics. And that transition, I don't think, will be nearly as pleasant as it could be. That's why a lot of people call it collapse. And that transition is being delayed currently, both the collapse of the material resources and also the collapse of the financial economic system. That stuff is being delayed by rent-seeking, by new frontiers of exploitation, by ramping up theft in parts of the world that were not as pillaged as other parts of the world, or ramping up surveillance and violence to make it harder to resist. But eventually it's going to hit, And I hate that it makes me sound like a second coming of Jesus conspiracist or something like that. Just like, well, yeah, it's coming. Like I'm a prophet, screaming into the streets. But it may not be some kind of prophesied end times, but we are approaching that point, where that sort of narrative of economic growth, going back to normal, this big group project of making the rich richer, because that rising tide will lift all boats. This story that everybody wins, that nobody will have to lose anything because the pie will just keep getting bigger. It has to come to an end.
It's amazing how long it's lasted, right? Like, a certain group of society has been able to make the rest of society believe that the pie will just keep getting bigger, when the pie has got smaller for most people, certainly for the last few decades. But arguably, lives have become worse for us since the Industrial Revolution in some ways, right?
Exactly. And, people will point to improvements in health and sanitation. Sure. You can have improvements in health and sanitation without all this other baggage, though.
Yeah.
You know? Or you can have improvements in literacy without literally poisoning our fresh water and bleaching our oceans and killing off biodiversity by the millions of species.
Yeah, it's not a like a package deal, right? Like, we can have vaccination against diseases without having Superfund sites. We didn't need one to make the other. It's not a like this way or the Dark Ages.
Exactly. For example, all London had to do, I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but all London had to do was stop dumping their sewage in the Thames.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like it's a remarkable, it's not that hard. But like, just look at the disposal of hazardous waste and the way that rather than being like, maybe we should stop making waste that will be hazardous for centuries. For the better part of 100 years, we've just been finding somewhere else to put it.
Yeah, just keep dumping it.
Yeah.
Even as a child, I was like, what are we supposed to do with all these mountains of garbage? like, are we just going to keep on piling it up until we reach the moon? I mean...
Yeah, it's like in San Diego, they used to dump it in the bay. Like, there's a whole part of our bay which used to be a landfill site. And like, I like to free dive. Sometimes I'll just be practicing or diving in the bay or whatever. And like, you'll dive down and be like, the fuck is a barbecue grill doing on the bottom of the ocean?
Jeez.
And people just continue to chuck shit into the bay, right? Like, even though we have another landfill where we put it now.
No, but you see, James, it's like that barbecue grill was $7 on Temu.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You can't pass up that deal, you know?
Yeah. And then when it turns out to be absolute crap, it will be on our planet for longer than any of us. But we've created a system where there's no disincentive to buy a Temu barbecue grill, use it once, and then throw it into the bay. And like, we can't see that that's a problem.
Yeah. Because of how the system is set up, you have to think about, wait a second, why is a barbecue grill $7? You know, who is suffering so that this barbecue grill will be $7?
Yeah, right. Because we're so detached from that, right? Like, despite being so connected, we're also so far away from the people who their misery is a consequence of our consumption, or of the system which makes our consumption the way it is.
Exactly. And, you know, instead of thinking about how we can make society resilient, how we can reasonably and ethically and with consideration for 7 generations use the resources that we have, you know, without endless throughput, our leaders continue to chase growth. They continue to chase progress perpetually, like a cancer.
Yeah.
You know? And everybody's seeing the consequences at this point. The work situation is getting worse because these platforms, these employers are finding ways to game the labor laws. You know, we're seeing shrinking margins in certain sectors because when you rely on growth, when that growth comes to an end, there's nowhere else to grow. You have to squeeze what there is. What's the phrase? Squeeze blood out of a stone?
Yeah.
You know, you have to force overwork. You have to enshitify existing services so that you can extract more subscriptions, more payments, more upgrades, whatever the case may be. The livability of entire cities has been wiped out because, you know, you have Airbnb and other private companies hollowing out something as basic as housing for all. And so the pressures to keep the whole machine running just outweighs any long-term considerations. But like I keep saying, this normal was never sustainable. I will say though, when we criticize the system, when we call it out and we talk about how these leaders are pushing things in a certain direction, they are. But at the same time, it's easy to fall into this notion that they are manipulating the whole thing. You know, that they manage the system in its entirety. It's tempting to see the system as coherent. You know, to act like it's all piloted by one individual or group.
Yeah.
As some wise or malevolent parental figure. And, you know, these institutions, they all rely to varying degrees on the appearance of competence, right? But I think what recent times has revealed is that things are a lot messier than that. that political leaders know that they don't know, but won't admit that they don't know, or they don't know that they don't know. And in either case, they are pretending or believing that they have this grip on things, that they can anticipate and smooth out the shocks to the system. You know, there are those who think that if they share the honest truth, that they could trigger panic in the populace. So they think they're doing something, you know, brave and benevolent by not giving people all the information they need. And worse yet, they fear that by sharing all the information that's needed to make accurate decisions, that they might lose investments, they might lose investors, you know, that the economy will take a hit as a result.
Yeah.
That's why you have situations where, like when the Texas grid failed in 2021, that the officials were insisting that it was stable.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't, you know? Or for the years that UK has had its water infrastructure issues, it continues to claim that things are under control and sewage was still getting into people's rivers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or like I think a lot about Flint, Michigan, where the water that people have to drink to survive is killing them. And this has been happening. We've known about it for, a decade? And there have been a series of politicians from both parties who have just been like, yeah, no, don't worry, we've got this covered. And like, that we fundamentally have not got this covered, right? But the machine is moving so fast that no one person can stop and turn it around because the machine will just bulldoze them.
Yep. It's not as steady as and stable as it puts forward. You know, in fact, that whole image of the system as coherent, as steady, as stable, I think it also serves to keep us from defying it.
Yeah.
You know, because we get this sense that, this is this behemoth, this all-powerful Lovecraftian entity that us mere individuals can't really challenge.
Yeah.
When there are things that we can do directly to throw, you know, spokes in the wheel, if that's the expression. No, it's something in the spokes.
Yeah, it's spanner, stick in the spokes, maybe.
Right, yeah, sure, let's go with that. Yeah. Would you say there was like a particular moment when you realized that nobody actually knew what they were doing, though?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if it was like a momental recognition for me or like a sort of gradual one. You know, I think a few of the times, like, you see it a lot when you travel more, right? Because the perception that like, we are helping here, we've got this under control. Like, I think with immigration, it's a great example, actually, right? Like, so I've obviously spent a lot of time with immigrants, and I think you see this. I remember in 2018, we had the migrant caravan, right? Like, there have been many migrant caravans. This one was just coincided with a midterm in a way that allowed it to become like a political football. And the American government is like, we are stopping them at the border so we can check if everyone's okay. And the government in Mexico is like, well, we are taking care of them. And you get there and you're like, fuck. Like, these people haven't had water today. And at that point, you know, I was already sort of predisposed to thinking that perhaps the state didn't have all the answers. And like, to be clear, the Mexican state did a lot more than the US state in this instance and provided these people with a place to be, which it would have been much worse if they hadn't had that. But like, it was just this realization. I was with a few friends. All of us happened at the time to be like full-time bicycle people. So we didn't have jobs that needed us to be like in a place at 9 a.m. So that realization that like, if these people are going to get water today, it's going to be because we go to Costco and buy all the water bottles. And then we ride back whilst slowly destroying the suspension of this pickup truck because we've got so much weight in it and give them out. Like, because no one else is going to.
Right.
And like, there's this whole world of NGOs and governments and states and like, didn't matter. Right, those people still didn't have water.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for direct action still.
Yeah.
And the powers that be are not as competent as they may at first glance appear. In other words, if they say they have everything under control, don't believe them.
Yeah.
I think also that instability within the system is part of it. You know, it's part of how it works. It's part of what's necessary for it to keep going. The competitive churn of the capitalist markets, the shifts of industries that, uproot people's lives, just part of how the system operates. The booms and busts in real estate, they all are ways for the powers that be to expand their wealth in some ways, expand their reach in certain territories. And people, for the most part, just go along with it. Daily life is complex as it is without having to grapple with the full scale of all the global issues. The following the leader, just going along with what they say, it does give you some psychological breathing room. It's hard to grapple with the existential threats that we face. I don't have time to, in many cases.
Right.
Especially when you have an administrative strategy that involves flooding the zone with so much mess, with so much drama, with so many different controversies and lies and incidents, that it feels like the best thing to do is just throw your hands up and give up.
Yeah.
And then I'm speaking both from the perspective of what I'm observing in the Trinidadian government and what I'm observing in the American government. But I see this attitude of arrogance, callousness, and corruption. It's like they're not even trying to maintain a veneer of legitimacy or intelligence or anything like that. To at least go through the motions to provide the things that it claims it's necessary to provide, But they're failing at even that. And they're so cocky about it.
Yeah.
They're so careless about it too. So they're smiling in your face and lying to you.
Yeah.
People do see what's happening. They respond in a couple different ways. They panic, of course, or they fall into conspiracies, or they deny that there is an actual problem. They continue to insist that everything is normal, that everything is fine. They double down, they hustle harder, they consume more, they carry on as if nothing's wrong. And there are those who see that something's wrong, but they see everybody else carrying on as if everything is fine. And so they go along as well, Or there are people, of course, who disengage, who are burnt out, who are numb, who are just drifting or going through the motions. But only a portion have turned to challenge the concept of normal itself. Whether it is that they're experimenting with simpler living, developing some program for survival, some strategy, either for themselves, for their household, or for their community, engaging in mutual support. And of course, this is only a portion of the population because many of us are like fish in water. We can't really recognize the socioeconomic structure that we are within. It's hard to recognize what you are immersed in as a thing itself. And it's only really in seeing and reading about alternatives that you get a glimpse of this normalcy and question it, to realize the system isn't natural or inevitable. There's an aberration destined to decline no matter how much we want to believe otherwise. That this script of working, consuming, careering, accumulating property and all is unnormal, that is actually kind of weird. It's strange that an entire society is dependent upon globe-spanning supply chains, volatile markets, and oriented entirely around the quarterly earnings of elites. It's strange that whiteness, maleness, cis-heteroness, ableness are treated as the default, the starter kit, even though only a fraction of humanity fits in any one of those molds, let alone the combination of all of them. It's strange that normal is so narrowly conformist. Those who don't conform are marginalized. It's strange that normal means an illusion of independence that disguises the webs you will always rely on. That you can claim to be independent and say, yeah, well, I just bought that $7 grill off Temu, and not think about the the web of relationships that brought that $7 Temu grill to your doorstep and eventually to the landfill. You get to feel self-sufficient while the system hides the labor, the ecosystems, logistics, and the people holding you up.
I'm just thinking now about people whose whole thing is being homesteaders, but their homesteading is in itself a performance for the global supply or the global market for distracting or entertainment or whatever you want to call it, right? And they do not exist outside of those supply chains. Like they are doing this performance of like independence because they are so codependent, right? Like they exist to generate like revenue off affiliate links or however influencers make money, sponsorships.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking about the influencers, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a guy who I remember like a year ago, because I'm like, I don't know, broken inside, I got into an argument with someone on X.com.
Oh no.
Yeah, this guy was like posing as a homesteader, and like, you know, I grew up on a farm, right? Like I've spent lots of my life around like domestic animals and around domestic, like I know how to fix things. I know what tools look like when you use them. And like this guy was very clearly just posing a series of photos. It just really like, I don't know why that particularly threw me for a loop, right? But like the idea that this guy's performing independence for a system he himself is reinforcing, it was just such a strange thing to understand.
Yeah, a system he's dependent on.
Yeah, exactly. A system he's entirely dependent on, like more so than most of us even, right? Like he makes nothing other than photographs that people look at on their phones. Like he makes no tangible product. Like at least if you're
right,
you know, you could be a cabinet maker, right? Yeah, you install kitchens for rich people, but you know how to make things with your hands. This guy just gets a saw that looks like it hadn't been used since the Edwardian era and stands around for photos next to a log. In the same breath, I guess, that I condemn that, I feel like the way that we deal with the end of this is the same way that we help each other get through the middle of this and the collapse of it, right? Like, I've seen people do mutual aid with such scarce resources and manage to make such amazing things, like both in terms of like physical objects and in terms of like these beautiful things we do for each other with so little. And like the ingenuity that's still there. It's not like people have forgotten how to exist without Temu, right? But we just haven't created a situation where we have to. And in mutual aid spaces, I sometimes feel like we already have the solution to this, which is to depend on and care for each other. It's just that we need that to be the way we do everything, not just some stuff.
Exactly. You know, the whole homesteading fantasy is this very comforting illusion and fiction, in my view, because if we're talking about going back to the land, people who live on the land, who live off of the land, they did so in community.
Yeah.
You know, very, 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 very rarely did someone live entirely by themselves without contact with anyone else. Because you can't be an axe maker and a carpenter and a cook and a farmer and a herder and all these different things, all of these different roles, a medicine maker, all these different things at the same time. That is why we as a species have survived and succeeded, because we are able to share our skills with others and, you know, collectively accomplish more than the sum of our parts.
Yeah, it's a fantasy. I was recently in a place called Chaco Canyon. I don't know if you're familiar with Chaco Canyon at all.
No.
But there's this idea, I think, that like pre the arrival of capitalism, like that's how indigenous people lived. And it's just not. Like you know, this was a large, thriving community. I'm interested in Chaco Canyon because I'm interested in what you're talking about, like a society which consumed at an unsustainable level and then collapsed, and what came out of it. But what came out of it is what kept the working class people in that society alive throughout it, which is helping each other, right? Like, yeah, sure, people had these little plots where they grew grain, but also like by doing their ceremonies, by coming together in community, they had something which could sustain them even when the economic reality completely changed for them. And it's that part that people forget, right? They think they can, they think they can grow their own food. Yeah, you can, but when you need a new plow, what are you going to do? You're going to buy a forge on Temu? You know, like it's so detached from the way anyone has ever lived.
Yeah, it is. And it cannot last. And me personally, I would rather not wait until supply chains break down completely and storms wipe the slate and blackouts cut all communication. And I would rather not wait for those things to create and sustain those networks of dependence, networks of interdependence, those local networks of aid and cultural practice and, meeting of mutual needs. There's a saying that the sort of hustle bros would say that your network is your net worth. And to that, I must concur. The community support and the shared resources are going to matter a lot more than your personal purchasing power. Being part of something is emotionally easier than carrying everything alone. They matter now and they'll matter even more in the future as crisis makes the invisible all too visible. The normal that we remember is an illusion, but once you've seen it, you cannot unsee. I think the departure from normal is an opportunity or chance to make something better, to be adaptable to the shocks that come with courage and with clarity. And I hope that this conversation is able to put to words what I'm sure that I'm not alone in feeling. That's all for me today. All power to all the people. Peace.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Time for a sofa upgrade? Introducing Anabe Sofas, where designer style meets budget-friendly prices. Anabe brings you the ultimate in furniture innovation with a modular design that allows you to rearrange your space effortlessly. Perfect for both small and large spaces, Anabe is the only machine-washable sofa inside and out. Say goodbye to stains and messes with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics that make cleaning easy. Liquids simply slide right off. Designed for custom comfort, our high-resilience foam lets you choose between a sink-in feel or a supportive memory foam blend. Plus, our pet-friendly, stain-resistant fabrics ensure your sofa stays beautiful for years. Don't compromise quality for price. Visit washablesofas.com to upgrade your living space today. Sofas start at just $699 with no risk returns and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 60% off plus free shipping and free returns. Shop now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Wasn't that delicious?
So good.
Your bill, ladies?
I got it. No,
I got it.
Seriously, I insist. I insisted first.
Oh, don't be silly.
You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Hi, friends, and welcome to the show. It's me, James, today, and I'm very lucky to be joined by Sam Hamilton, who is the Senior Litigation Staff Attorney at Asian Americans Advancing Justice Atlanta. Hi, Sam.
Hi, James. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And we are gathered here today to talk about the new proposals that DHS has to detain people in like literal warehouses, right? If people aren't familiar, maybe you could start out by explaining what those proposals are and how they specifically relate to the areas where you're organizing in Atlanta.
Sure. So around December of 2025, a journalist leaked a list of about 20 different cities across the country where ICE was intending to open new detention facilities in warehouses specifically.
Yeah.
And this list contained the names of the cities and the expected or projected occupancy of each of these facilities. And so I live here in Atlanta, Georgia, and there were 2 cities on that list with warehouses contemplated. One is located in the city of Flowery Branch, where the warehouse there is intended to detain up to 1,500 people. And the other is in the city of Social Circle, Georgia, where ICE intends to use a warehouse that is over 1 million square feet to detain about 8,500 people.
That's vast. Like, I think that this would dwarf the capacity of any, like, I'm trying to think if there are maybe prisons that are bigger than that. I don't know. But like in immigration terms, I don't think there is anything.
Yeah, I mean, so for the last 4 years or so, I've worked on various different shutdown ICE campaigns here in Georgia. And for the last 4 years, I've been working with the campaign to shut down the Folkestone ICE Processing Center, which is an ICE facility in South Georgia, pretty close to Florida, but it's about a 5-hour drive from Atlanta. And that ended up expanding last summer. But the number of beds at that facility was projected to be around 3,000. And at the time, that was going to be the largest ICE detention facility in the country. So to jump from 3,000 to 8,500 is, it's massive, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, people want it like it's not fascism unless it comes from the fascia area of Italy, right? Otherwise, it's like sparkling authoritarianism or whatever. But like, unless you're looking for like a gate with Arbeck marked Frei on it or whatever, like these are concentration camps. Like that is what this is. It was really interesting. In 2023, we had outdoor detention under the Biden administration, and like we didn't really have much coverage in the US media when we were participating in mutual aid there, but we'd had a lot from non-US media, like folks from Japan and Singapore and Italy, and they'd just come and be like, oh yeah, this is a concentration camp. And then they'd write the story and be like, oh, these are concentration camps. And like, I would never have got that past an editor in LA or New York. To them, it seems so self-evident. Now we're just doing it on an even bigger scale, I guess. It's terrible. It's shit. So I know you've been organizing in social circles specifically, right? Or part of an organizing group, I should say, that's been opposing this detention center. So I think it'll be really instructive to people because these are going to be all over the country, and this won't be the only expansion of immigration detention we see in the next few years, I imagine, given the massive budget and the priorities of the administration. Can you explain a little bit about like how that campaign got started, and then the nuts and bolts of how this is being opposed?
Yeah. So before I get into that, I think providing some context on who the social circle community is would be instructive. So it's a very small city. Mm-hmm. It's got a population of about 5,000 people, overwhelmingly Republican, overwhelmingly white, and pretty wealthy.
Okay.
And it's about an hour drive outside of Atlanta. And in December of 2025, a news article was published in the Washington Post announcing, the list of the 20 cities where these warehouses would be popping up.
Yeah.
And it was that article that told the residents of Social Circle and the elected officials of Social Circle for the first time that this ICE mega prison was coming to their community. There was no notice to the city by ICE or anyone in the federal government at all. Certainly no opportunity to respond, no opportunity for public input.
Yeah.
So they felt really blindsided.
Yeah.
And I'm not from this community. And, I've met many of these people only for the first time, within the last couple of months. But I think it would not be so far-fetched to say that some of these people feel, especially the ones who identify as Republicans or as, conservatives, I think they feel really betrayed by their government, by their party.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, a lot of these people, I mean, I've just described the demographic. I think many of them have never been involved in organizing of any kind before. Some of them have, I think, but I think due to, their life circumstances, just might not have found themselves in a place where they've needed to organize for anything.
Yeah.
So a bunch of these residents got together and have been holding, in-person kind of town hall community meetings. And they held one in January where there were about, I think 40 to 50 people in the room, and they wanted to get together and, just have a public discourse about what could be done.
Yeah.
And I was invited to this meeting because of my history of involvement with shutdown campaigns here in Georgia. I got started with shutdown campaigns in 2020 when a nurse, a whistleblower who worked at an immigration detention center here in Georgia called the Irwin County Detention Center, alerted the public that there was a doctor who was contracting with ICE, who had been, providing medical services to women detained in this facility. Well, he had actually been performing non-consensual and medically unnecessary medical and gynecological procedures on women in ICE detention.
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah. And when these women spoke out about it to their family members, to journalists, to their lawyers, to members of Congress, or staffers for members of Congress, they were retaliated against by being swiftly deported.
Yeah.
And I'm talking put on planes within hours of speaking to a congressional staffer. And at the time, I was working at the University of Georgia School of Law's First Amendment Clinic, where we were providing, free legal services to people across the state, including, helping people with getting access to public records and suing the police and federal agents when they were retaliated against. And so we represented those women, and it was through my work at Irwin and, connecting with the organizers there that I got involved with shutdown campaigns, or rather the Shutdown Irwin campaign here in Georgia. And then from there, later got involved with the Shutdown Folkestone campaign. So I had been asked to speak to this group of people who I think were new to the immigrants' rights struggle, to talk about, what it's like to try to prevent a detention center from popping up in their community.
And like you say, it's not a community that might traditionally be demographically the same as the people who we associate with migrant advocacy, migrant activism. I guess when a group like that comes into a moment like this, I mean, there are some areas of activism, I guess, civil society stuff where white suburban folks have some experience, right? Planning is one of them, right? The reason bike lanes only go north-south in San Diego is because they think that those of us who can't afford to live by the sea don't deserve to cycle safely. There are many other examples of this. But what were their thoughts when they first met? I'm really interested to know that they're obviously upset and they feel abandoned and betrayed, but how did they want to organize to prevent this?
Well, a lot of them were upset about the decrease in their property value. That was what was really bringing them. Yeah, that was the radicalizing moment.
Yeah. Same with the bike lanes, actually.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
And, but in addition to the property value stuff, it's also, the strain that this would impose on their small community. I mean, a number of the people who live there might be of, well-to-do means, but, their city police department employs a total of 14 officers, and they have 2 on duty at any given time.
Damn.
They have a fire department of, comparably, small size.
Yeah.
And they have, water and sewer infrastructure that was built to accommodate about as many people as live there now, between 4,000 and 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's that impact that is also, really maddening and activating and agitating to people. Those arguments are not new to us who have organized in South Georgia, in also very red areas, a lot more rural and a lot less wealthy.
Yeah.
We've canvassed door to door in the city of Folkestone to try to ask people how do they feel about this mega prison opening up in their community. And a lot of people, were against it, despite the fact government officials might try to bill it as, an economic boon, an employment opportunity. A lot of people said, like, hey, I don't necessarily want a prison in my backyard, but if it's bringing jobs, then, that's what this community needs. That's something that I think makes Social Circle distinct from the previous shutdown campaigns I've worked on in Irwin County and in Folkestone, is that this isn't really an area that is starved for employment or starved for, economic support. Like, these people are doing okay. And, another thing that makes it distinct is before all of this warehouse business, the vast majority of facilities in this country are formed through intergovernmental service agreements, or IGSAs for short is the acronym, but they're agreements between the federal government and the county, the local government, where the local government says, yes, you can use our land or our facilities, and in exchange, you pay us. In the case of Folkestone, it's a comparably measly amount. It's only $200,000 per year.
Jesus, not much, yeah.
Even though the federal government is giving, $50 million a year to insert your favorite private prison corporation here, whether it's CoreCivic or Geo Group. Yeah, your favorite. There are only two, really.
yeah. Not much of a choice.
Yeah. And so typically, we see this sort of co-opting and manipulation of the local community and the local government by the federal government, coercing them economically to take on these detention centers or else. But here, like I said, Social Circle is doing fine. They're not starved for economic investment.
Yeah.
And ICE didn't, consult them at all. It really just in the dead of night, just bought this warehouse from a private company and pushed this deal through. So those are some aspects that I think might throw, some of us who might have been involved in these similar fights before, for a loop a little bit, because, there's this assumption, I think, by some of the local officials that the supremacy clause governs here and the federal government can do whatever it wants. So there's no point in us trying to use our local zoning ordinances or what have you to try to put a stop to this because there's nothing that we can do.
Right.
Is at least what, some people might be saying.
Yeah. Let's take a break for advertisements. I can't think of anything mean to say. I don't know, buy some shit that's come from a... Don't buy anything you don't need. Okay. We are back. So you were talking about this assumption that the supremacy clause would mean that the federal government could build a mega prison in a warehouse in your town without asking you if it could do that first. Can you explain how people are able to use, like you said, various local tools to oppose this? Like you said, it's a huge burden. When I first read this story, I remember thinking about just the water and sewage demands of housing 8,000 people would be crippling for the infrastructure in a lot of places. So how are people opposing this?
Well, it's been really inspiring for me to see these local leaders who, again, many of whom have, never been involved in activism or organizing before.
Yeah.
They've been very consistent in holding demonstrations on a weekly basis at the site of this facility and have garnered the attention of different media who have come and interviewed them. So that's been one way that they've been trying to, get their message out there. I was just talking about, the residents who are concerned from, sort of fiscal perspective and are concerned about, their own property values and things like that. But there are a fair number of people who are concerned about, the core human rights abuses. And, sure, some of the lines might be, well, this isn't the right place.
Right.
Our city is not the right place for a detention center, suggesting, implying that there are some places that are suitable for a detention center. But there are a fair number of people in this community who are opposed to detention centers in general. I mean, they see the violence that ICE is inflicting in broad daylight on public streets. And I think they're horrified, and they don't want to be complicit in something like that, coming to their community. And I do think that along the way, I'm seeing more of a shift in the consciousness, or at least an openness to understanding the different influences that bring us to the same table.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. It has been very cool.
Yeah.
And we can agree that, we're not going to have 100% unity of ideas, but we can have a unity of action.
Yeah.
And, we can save these debates on, whether someone is illegal or not.
Right. Yeah.
We can continue to have them along the way as we are also identifying the very concrete ways that we can work together. And I'm thinking of one, for example.
Yeah.
I work pretty closely with some staffers for different members of Congress. I mean, in terms of like uplifting, human rights and civil rights abuses that we see in detention centers, because as part of my job, I go inside detention centers, immigration detention centers in Georgia pretty frequently, also federal prisons.
Okay.
And we'll meet with people and learn about the conditions that they're facing, and we'll, fight for them to get released, and also share what I learned from them with, different members of Congress. And most of our connections are with people who are aligned with the Democratic Party. I mean, to be frank, I've never initiated correspondence with a Republican, but I think I kind of just assumed that they wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't get anywhere with them, or that they wouldn't, that they wouldn't talk to me. But what's been effective in working with this coalition of residents is some of these people. I mean, they've been card-carrying Republicans for a long time and feel that they, can wield influence over, certain Republican elected officials. And and one of them, well, I don't know how many of them, but a number of these local residents have gotten Republican, Mike Collins to come out against this ICE facility.
Yeah, that's especially right now in the Republican Party, and that could be very difficult for them to do. I sort of once not hugely sympathetic to Republican politicians, and I would still like to see them get better. We want people to get better. That's the whole thing. And I think for these people whose politics may not be the same as ours, sharing the space, sharing the movement, sharing the struggle, I hope it makes people better. I hope being exposed to people who are not of the same background as you, be it class-wise, race-wise, politics-wise, whatever, makes people realize that things are not quite how they're presented to them on the television or in the media they consume.
Totally.
So I'm sure that's, I hope that is positive. What can local government do, or even elected officials do, given that elected officials on a federal level do, given that ICE just appears to be operating without a great deal of oversight right now?
Yeah, I mean, with each of these warehouses, there are different circumstances around each of them.
Yep.
I've been really inspired, honestly, by the folks in Maryland who are dealing with a warehouse, maybe multiple warehouses, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Where, at both the local and the state level, they have really pushed for legislation that would effectively, prevent these warehouses from existing at all. It is a different set of facts than what we're working with here in Georgia because there's more involvement by private actors. And so the government, the local government can regulate them more. But Maryland is certainly not the only place where those fights are happening. And so I would really encourage folks to learn from Maryland. And I get, I'm talking about, legislation. I mean, I will be the first to tell you as a lawyer that I don't think legal tools will liberate us. The law will not make us free.
Sure. Yeah.
And I do think it's the people power, it's the coming together, it's the mass collective action that is, that's what's going to do it. And also there are multiple tools and multiple instruments that they can wield. And so right now, I mean, with respect to the Social Circle warehouse, ICE is saying that they intend to detain people in there starting in April.
Jeez.
In less than 2 months.
Yeah.
And so right now, the strategy truly is to use just like every tool at our disposal.
Yeah.
Identifying, like what legislation can be filed, what litigation, what lawsuits can be filed, what, demonstrations, what kind of, canvassing, door knocking, you name it. Like, how can people come together? How can we try to identify which companies would be supplying the labor to turn this warehouse into something, where people will be detained? I mean, not that I think ICE gives a damn about making any type of facility habitable for humans, but there's going to be some work that needs to be done in order to, turn this, would-be Amazon warehouse into a place for people. And is there work that, local organizers, because they're organizers.
Yeah.
We're all organizers. Is there work that local organizers can do to try to unite with laborers, with workers who, might be working on this facility to try to like prevent them? Or like city workers, like, can they prevent city workers from like actually hooking up this warehouse to the city utilities?
Right. Yeah. Presumably, there will be a building contractor, right? Like they will want to build thousands of cells in this giant, like all of that stuff. And especially with it happening so quickly, like, anything that delays that will cause it to at least slow it down, I guess.
Yeah. I think another angle that we haven't talked about yet is the environmental angle. Like with Social Circle, this is, a town of 5,000. It's gonna nearly triple the number of people in this place, and and also triple the amount of waste and sewage that's going to be coming out of this place. So that's one thing. Another thing for people to look at is, what would the environmental impact of these warehouses be on local waterways, for example? And that's what, temporarily put a stop on the detention facility in the Everglades in Florida was a legal challenge in federal court under NEPA, the National Environmental Protection Act, because the federal government had failed to conduct the proper environmental impact assessments.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they actually really had to do was, something very procedural and, tick a box. And ultimately the facility ended up moving forward. But it was a tool to buy time to figure out what other types of organizing can we do.
Yeah. And it's still like, even if it's only time, right? Like harm isn't being done in that time, and it's still a good thing.
Yeah.
It's like a form of harm reduction. It reminds me a lot of the struggles here against the newer, larger border wall that we've seen since 2015, 2016, when Trump got elected. Like, I'm thinking about how there have been ecological challenges to it. There have been social challenges to it, right? The city of San Diego is currently trying to sue the feds for trespass for part of its wall construction, which, like, I'm not a big fan of our city government, but, like, I'm glad they did that. And all these different tools have at least at least in the last Trump administration, I remember in the late summer of 2020 being out with some Kumeyaay folks who were in ceremony because the wall construction was destroying Kumeyaay ancestors, right, who are buried there, and then the spaces where they are buried. And they ran out the clock on the Trump administration, right, by using their rights as indigenous people to be in ceremony, the refusal of the workers to literally drive a dump truck through the middle of their ceremonial practices. They were able to run the clock out on the Trump administration. Unfortunately, now we have another one, but all those different things had to work together to mean that in that little part of the border, somebody's great-great-grandparents' remains weren't dynamited out of the earth. And that's still a good thing. However we got there, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
It makes me happy to hear that, even folks who might have otherwise been politically aligned with this project are appalled by this, because the idea of literally warehousing humans, it's so fucking bleak. There's these big warehouses where we fill them with shit that we don't need, and now they're filling them with people that apparently we don't want. It's one of the more horrific things that, I don't know, it's so bleak to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. The veil has just been totally lifted. We know that they don't view immigrants as human.
Yeah.
But now they're not even pretending anymore, just truly treating people like chattel.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, again, right, in the same places.
Yeah.
In this instance, I guess I'm glad that even people who are not politically on the same team maybe are opposed to this, because it's it's repugnant.
Yeah.
I guess what if people are hearing about this for the first time, right? And we'll include that link to the article so people can look up where these locations are if they're near them. What advice would you have for people if you're listening to this, you click on that link, you find this one half an hour from your house or whatever? What advice do you have for those people?
I think if you're already an organizer, regardless of whether you've been in the immigrants' rights fight or not, now is a time when it really is all hands on deck. So don't be afraid to get involved, but also, like we were talking about before we started, is I think guarantee that there is some immigrants' rights movement in your locale or somewhere close by. And I think it's just so important to, approach this work not with the assumption that you are starting, launching this new campaign, spearheading this, new, previously untapped, area of work, because I guarantee you that, there are people who have worked on this before. And so I think connect both with people who have been doing this work for a long time, and also try to connect with people who you might not otherwise have thought to connect with. And I think it's important to call out the NIMBYism, the not in my backyardism of how, some people are coming at this issue because they're worried about their property value, but it's also something that we can capitalize on, right? It's energy, and oftentimes it's people with capital and connections that, that you might not otherwise have had access to either. So I think, the connecting, and the community organizing needs to go in multiple directions. But I do think it's important to move.
Yeah.
It's important to move fast.
Yeah, seriously. Like that is a very constrained timeline. Everybody has to be. But that means it's also important to move respectfully, right? Because if we just blow each other's shit up because people assume that migrant communities have somehow not been advocating for themselves and each other for centuries, then we're not going to have time to organize because we're going to be dealing with that shit. And I've seen that so much just personally, right? Having been involved for some time in migrant advocacy and seeing folks pop in and tell us how to do everything. It's tiresome. I understand that you want to help. But if this is something that you're organizing around, it's super easy to find those organizations and be how can I help?
Yeah. And it's also such a good, this fight in particular is such a good vehicle for fighting for abolition overall. As someone who's been saying abolish ICE for years, it is amazing to see how much traction that phrase has gotten, especially over the last 6 months. And we can't just be fighting against, preventing new ICE facilities. We need to be fighting for shutting down all ICE facilities and for abolishing ICE as an institution. We've been around before ICE, and we will be around after ICE. As an agency, ICE has only been around since 2003. Sure, there was a predecessor. There was the INS, but I mean, it didn't operate in nearly the type of way that ICE does now as this, law enforcement agency. And even before Trump, ICE was still a really, horrible agency. And so, I think it's important to continue to, point these things out while also, welcoming people into the fight and pushing them farther.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really important. I think we have to rebut the assumption that this is an aberration and we can fix it and go back to normal, because normal was bad and you just couldn't see it because it wasn't on your screen, right? Children died in outdoor detention under Biden. I saw people suffer immensely in outdoor detention under Biden. We don't want to go back to that either. And I think it's really important that when we build these coalitions, we build them with that in mind, that we're organizing very quickly, but also we're in this for the long haul until everybody's free. Is there anything that you'd like to leave people with, resources or a bit of advice, any closing words you'd like to share with them?
Abolish ICE. That's all I got.
Perfect.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Wasn't that delicious?
So good.
Your bill, ladies.
I got it.
No, I got it.
Seriously, I insist.
I insisted first.
Oh, don't be silly. You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dive in, Hood Politics with Prop. This is special for me. We're calling this the Art of Petty. And The play on words you may or may not know is that Petty's actually my last name. And like literally government, it's my last name. And as a child, it used to bother me. As a grown-up, I'm like, nah, that sounds about right. So what made us start, first of all, was the bio says the writer of the Pettysburg Address.
Yeah.
That's one of the funniest things. It makes me mad because it's my last name. And I'm like, why did I not think of that? Like, it's so brilliant. Amanda Nelson, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for appreciating my ridiculous Abraham Lincoln joke.
It's brilliant. I and super producer Ian separately came across your content like at the same time. I know when I first hit the follow, within a day or two, Ian was like, hey, have you heard of this person? And he just sent me the link. I was like, dude, I just started following. And I think there's a kindred spirit in the sense of like in history being actually not that difficult to grasp if you just speak like a regular ass human. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And politics the same. Like, you know, the premise of the whole show is that like, if you understand inner city living, you understand politics. Like if you grew up in and around our streets, it's really not that different. You know, even whether you was like a nerd, you know, running as fast as you can to the library, you still knew I better not go down 7th Street because like you still know how this works. You know what I'm saying? Or whether you were completely outside, like, you know, stealing people's bikes, like you get it, you know? So what we appreciated about what you do is the accessibility of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. That was the goal from the beginning, especially the, you know, on Mondays, I do a series called The Whiteboard, which is literally just a whiteboard with a bunch of sticky notes on it.
Yeah.
Where I track congressional legislation as it moves its way through Congress or doesn't, as is more often the case.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first things I started doing when I started making content, and people were so appreciative of it. In a way I found surprising. I thought people would find it nerdy and boring and silly.
Yeah.
But it's such an unnecessarily complicated process, and explaining it in ways that people can grasp. There's been a lot of appreciation for it, which I love.
Yeah. Which leads me to the next question, which would be like, okay, so your formal training, your upbringing, like I need to know the origin story of the nerdery. But before that, this is the week of the Super Bowl. So I'm just wondering, as a Latina who's not a Latina, who I just found out an hour ago is not a Latino, have you recovered from Benito's performance?
I am not a Latina, that is true. And I just, when I was talking about it, online about Bad Bunny's halftime show, I got so many people asking me, wait, you're not Latina? So apparently I am presenting, which is nice.
Yes.
I have recovered because after the halftime show, I went to bed. So I was in bed by like 9:30. It was such a boring game. Like, I'm not going to sit here and watch.
The game was trash.
4 hours of freaking field goals. But then, of course, I went to bed and it got spiced up a little bit.
And then it became a game.
Right.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter.
Yeah. So you're on the East Coast then?
I am. I'm in Virginia. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely hilarious. We are on the West Coast, to which the game starts at 3 p.m. But definitely my wife was like ready to go after that. My wife is a first-gen Latina, and she was just like, wait, there's more game? You know, and I was,
do I have
she's
to?
being silly, but yeah, do we have to stay? We're at my sister-in-law's house, and she was just like, we're good unless you want to stay, you know. Since I'm a Cali native, I'm like, I really don't care about either of these teams. And
same.
Yeah, and down to my mitochondria, like I cannot ever cheer for a New England team.
Yeah.
I can't. Just the Celtics, the Boston thing, as an LA boy, I can't. Anybody remotely close to that, I just can't cheer for.
I think I have like 2010s PTSD for having to constantly listen to the Patriots be
for sure
in everything. And so I have an ingrained bias. Also, their owner's like a weird MAGA dude. And
He's weirdo. Yeah.
He's weird. So, and Tom Brady is also weird. Like, he's a weird guy.
He's weird, man. Did you see his roast?
Yes. Yes.
I was like, yeah, you weird, bro. Like, you know,
he is.
Like,
and I can't decide if like Giselle leaving made him weirder or if he was weird and she left because of that. I can't figure it out. I don't care that much, but
I honestly, that's a good thought, man. Like, cause I've considered that a few times, cause I'm like, the level of competitive you have to be someone like a Tom Brady, like a Michael Jordan, like a Tony Hawk. Like, you have to be insufferable with your will and drive to be as good as you are. And now my wife has a PhD in ed policy. She's one of the most self-driven people I know. Even with her just doctoral nerdiness, there's a level of like, will you chill? Like, about, certain stuff. But we're both nerds, you know what I'm saying? So like, we're both nerds in a lot of ways, but like, I can't imagine being married to someone where you're just like, can we talk about anything but this? Yes.
Anything else?
Yes.
The answer is no.
No. Yeah. So tell me about, formal training and upbringing. Like, why are you like this?
Why am I like this?
Yes.
Well, I have a history degree, an undergraduate history degree that I got. How do I explain why I'm like this? That's such an interesting question. So I was raised in the South by very conservative white people.
Okay.
And I did not understand why I was kind of singled out a lot growing up. Like, as we said at the beginning, I am not Latina. My grandmother's from the Philippines. And so that was like enough one-dropness to make all the white people around me.
Yeah, one drop will do you.
Yeah, very weird. And I didn't get it. And as I grew up and I understood more about the South and about Virginia specifically, which is the capital of the Confederacy and all that.
Yeah.
I got kind of obsessed with history. Like, why are these people like this?
Yeah.
So I've always been into history. I got a history degree, and then I became, kind of actively involved. Once I got out of my parents' house, to be honest.
For sure.
And they're not conservative anymore, but once I got out of my parents' house and discovered, like, a world of I went to college, which is the case with so many kids who grew up in, the rural South. I went to college, discovered activism and organizing and people with different opinions.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a whole world opened up for me and I got involved. I've been politically involved ever since. I've done all kinds of things. I've volunteered for campaigns. I've been a clinic escort at an abortion clinic here in town, all kinds of different. I've worked with the ACLU. So I am like this, I suppose, because my family is strange.
I respect it.
Or maybe not strange, maybe just normal for where they're from.
Normal for where they're from. No, I respect that. In your defense, the Philippines, y'all are the Black and Latinos of Asia.
Of Asia, yes,
so,
yes. The Mexicans of the Pacific.
Yeah, you're the Mexicans and the Black people. That's what sucks about what's great about being Filipino. Y'all get to be Black and Latino and Asian. It's not fair. My stepmom's from the Philippines, so like I have this affinity because raised by a Filipino woman. Well, I was raised by a Black woman and a Filipino woman. And long story. The point is that makes a lot of sense, dude. Like that thing that radicalized you was, I'm using radicalized as a stand-in word, but just exposure, right? Like that's super interesting to know that like not even the awareness of, because like you said, like you existed in this white space and you like, I don't understand why y'all.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's
what
the problem?
Like, right, yeah.
What did I do? Yeah. It's like, it's because you're kind of not. You're like, well, but yeah, I am, right? Like it was kind of one of those scenarios, or did you kind of like, I may be putting a little more on you. Like you said, you weren't aware of your presenting, but did you feel sort of culturally that like, I feel like I belong here? Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't understand. I understood that I looked a little bit different than everybody around me. Fine.
Yeah.
A little bit. Not a ton. Like I'm not, like I'm a quarter of Filipino. Like it's not. I understood that I looked a little bit different. I did not understand why that mattered.
Word.
For a really long time. And then like the older I got, the more it would be like I go out into school and the sort of racism that I would get would be when people mistook me for being Latina or when people mistook me for being Black. That's when I would get like act like really bad. Because where I'm from in Virginia Beach is the largest Filipino population on the East Coast.
Word.
So Filipinos being around, people were kind of used to. But it was when people thought that I was not just other, but a whole other, than what they were used to.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. Like, I was born into this household. Like, I grew up with, we've all watched the same fucking NASCAR races. We eat the same food.
Yeah, totally.
We listen to I have to listen to your stupid ass Rush Limbaugh. So like, why am I different? It doesn't make sense to me.
That's so interesting. I love that. My undergrad was going to be history, but it kind of switched to like intercultural studies. I was just more interested, a little more like sociology. I majored in illustration and because I wanted to do art and cultural studies, and then did social science for like grad school. Mine was a little different in the sense that the listeners know, but like my father was a Black Panther, you know what I'm saying? And we grew up in the space, and it wasn't sort of like you said, like this like light bulb was not my experience. My experience was like, this is necessary for our survival.
Yeah.
And I think I was more thrown back because which is, again, what I want to get to about like kind of the way that you present this stuff is like, I feel like this information is available for all of us. Like, it didn't take a lot of digging for you to like, I feel like it was not really, I loved even you talking about your experience in like working in politics and organizing and volunteering, where it's like, a lot of times we feel like the access to entry is much harder than it actually is. You could just go there, just go over there and just be like, yo, can I help? And it's really like, it really be that easy, you know?
And people will be so happy to have you.
Yeah. But yeah, I just feel like, especially your I'm jumping around, but like your Trump's L's for the week are like, I mean, it's right there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just be saying them. It don't take a lot of work, you know what I'm saying? Like, but obviously us has like, you know, having formal training in research and fact checking and double checks, like, you know, like having the formal training definitely helps me, you know what I'm saying? But besides that, sometimes I'll be like, well, this is just, I mean, this is what he said he was going to do, and then it didn't happen. So I'm like, that's an L, ain't it? Like, I just don't, it don't be that hard. Okay, now, the next question is about your sense of humor. So like, why are you so funny? Like what? Why are you like that?
Because I'm mean.
I love it.
I'm mean to people you're not supposed to be mean to. Like, you know, there's such Americans, let me rephrase this. White Americans have such an ingrained, like inherent respect for positions of authority, like the president. Like, how can you talk shit about the president? You know, I don't care.
Because he trash.
Because he's garbage.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I don't care. Like, he looks, he's the color of a rusted out horse trough. The fuck do I care?
Yeah.
So I have no problems being mean. And I'm mean in ways that give people like permission to be a little like thrilled by it or a little delighted by it, and that provides, I think, an entryway for people to learn a little bit of defiance.
I love it.
I don't know, America, we're not great at, again, I should clarify, white America specifically, especially my people.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, oh no, man, won't ever really. Yeah, but anyway, go on.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like the people that I speak to are a lot of like suburban moms, right? I'm a 41-year-old mom, and they are not used to middle fingers up at all, especially recently. You know, like Biden got in office and everybody kind of fell asleep.
Yeah.
In the Democratic Party, white people fell asleep. So being mean and just pulling out some claws, it's both like funny and fun for me, but it's also strategic because I do want there to be, I want to present a permission structure for people to start learning to have a bit more backbone.
I love that. I love that. Like you said, the term you use is permission. And that's what I enjoyed. I think that, yeah, like knowing that like you're from the South and that like adds even more of a color to what's happening here. It makes me like it even more. Yeah, I don't have no second thoughts about dragging a public figure, a politician. Like, I don't have no second thoughts about it because, again, like, you asked for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you signed up for this. You said you was gonna be this. Like, all right, I'm about to get real black. But, like, there's parts of me that's just like, okay, are you a bitch-ass nigga? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, there are ways for me to be able to know if you are. You presented yourself like you a real one. And I'm like, okay, well, there's qualifying entry points for me to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we learn, I'll respect, in our culture, you respect your elders for their position as elders. But do I respect that person as a person? No, you got to earn that. But authority figures are different. You're in a corrupt system. Like, this system already don't like me. And you're applying for a job, and the job you applying for is governance. So I'm like, I don't give a fuck about you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no. But there is something unique, I think, about your particular intersections as ethnically ambiguous, from the South, highly educated, you know, and unfortunately in a patriarchal, misogynistic world, a female. Right. Which I already know grates at so much, which I think I appreciate probably the most when you have time to like drag a commenter. Like, obviously men are not okay. Like, we know that ship has sailed. We're not okay. You know what I'm saying? Part of me feels like, now this is like, as much as I've evolved in my feminism and, you know, I'm the father of 2 daughters and, you know, I've learned to like really not understand how I was the problem to become to understand that I'm the problem, you know, even in just my ways of communicating, my advocacy, stuff like that, my blind spots and all that. And I'm with, you know what I'm saying? I have nephews. I don't have, like I said, I don't have sons, but I have nephews who I've like realized that I carried a lot of ways for which I thought I was supposed to talk to my daughter versus talking to a son, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and I used to say, well, I'm going to talk to my daughter the way I would talk to my son, you know, and just stupid, you know what I'm saying? And then, but even just being like, man, like sometimes my nephew could use like a gentle voice, like, you know, a man just like him that could just be real gentle, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, man, I'm sorry you sick, man. It sucks when you get your feelings hurt. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to be gentle with him too. That said, I feel like I come from an era where words have consequences. You know, you say something to somebody, they might slap the shit out of you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you watch your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because like, now granted, like I said, I've grown to where that like, I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to. Like, I don't say that no more. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, okay, I have learned that that's not the person I need to be. However, I feel like a lot of these young men, especially in your comment sections, like, they didn't have no big homies like I did that would be like, boy, if you don't shut, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and just being like, son, like,
yes.
So you can't just be talking. And I come from a city where she might slap the shit out of you.
She will.
You know what I'm saying?
She will indeed.
It's not just like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, bro, you can't just be talking. So anyway, that's a long preamble to say, I appreciate when you take the time to drag a comment.
Thank you. I did.
So please tell me the origins of that.
Yeah. So I have 2 sons.
Okay.
They're twins. They'll be 15 in a few weeks. And I care a lot. Actually, I get a lot of shit for this from people on the left, from liberals as well, especially from women. But I care a lot about men and them not being okay. You know, I care.
Yeah, they're not okay. Yeah.
Because I have 2 boys and I don't want that to be them. I see the traps that are waiting for them out there that are being placed on purpose.
For sure.
By bad actors.
Yeah.
So I want policy and conversations and acceptance and help for the men and the boys.
Yeah.
And also when it's almost always, you know, like some Republican mouth breather who follows a bunch of AI porn bots gets into my comments to talk to me some kind of way, I decided that I was going to make an example of them because these are people who have never experienced a consequence.
Yes.
Ever.
That's what I'm saying.
Like if you're a 50-year-old white man, you have never experienced a consequence for running your mouth. Ever.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm going to be that consequence for you. You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
And it just disgusts me because, again, they're almost always following like a bunch of teenagers, AI bots, you know, all of these just, it's completely inappropriate behavior. They do not understand the concept of matching energy. They're completely shocked when they come into my comments and give me shit. And then I match their energy. They're always just aghast. They're like, how dare I? Well, you dared first. What?
I'm just like, like for somebody who swear they so like, you so tough and hard. I'm like, man, you little cupcake ass.
Yes.
Like one of the earliest, I mean, I'm telling you, the earliest lesson I got as a child, and I still say it to my kids, you don't dish out what you can't take. Like, you don't put it out there if you can't handle it, you know? So if you gonna get jokes and that person roasts you back, I come from, that's our culture. It's like, even around family, it's just like, bro, I was having a conversation with one of the parents, like, because I have the type of job I have, I do a lot of the pickups, the after school pickups.
Yeah.
You know, so I was talking to one of the
shift
moms.
as a chauffeur.
Yes. So I was talking to one of the moms just about like nicknames growing up, whatever, right? And my mother, biting sarcasm, super funny, brilliant, but like fire baptized, speaking in tongues, praying the house down, just as a biting sarcasm. And I was like, she used to call me the before picture.
Jesus.
She's just cold as ice. And I was just like, dang. But again, it's like, she could always give it back. You know what I'm saying? So like you just knew like if you was gonna get your feelings hurt, I don't know if you can handle that, you know? And even like specifically with the young ladies, it's just like, bro, like I'm like, you following porn bots, like part of me, like again, in the most misogynistic possible, is like, cause nigga, you ain't got no flavor, cause like,
right,
you're a weirdo. Like that's why you doing this, yeah.
And they claim like this is a group of people, you know, whatever, conservative Gen X men, who claim a level of cultural dominance that's what they're expressing when they come into my comment section to yell at me. This like cultural dominance they think they have, and it's completely manufactured.
Yeah,
you dominate no one. Look at you. Like, and that's kind of the point that I part of me is like, well, maybe I'm being too mean, but also I feel like I'm doing them a favor. Like,
you really are.
You have no actual self-esteem. You have no self-esteem is built by doing esteemable things. And when you spend all of your time online just yelling at women,
bars. Yeah,
there's nothing esteemable there.
It's so silly, man. Like, I mean, we're totally off the rails here, but I love this because it's very important to me. Because I'm just like, when my oldest was in like junior high, like I was trying to tell my wife, like I was like, the thing is, we have been experiencing rejection since 5th grade. And it's because we've been planning this all week to go actually approach Natasha. Like, you've been thinking about it all week. Well, I'm going to wear the right outfit. I'm going to do this. You go over there, you say something to her. She giggles to all her friends and runs away and says, ew. It's just like, okay, that's the first time you got your little heart broken as a little boy, right? So fast forward to middle school. Oh my God, will you dance with me? Ew, no, okay. You did it again. By the time these dudes are in the club and it's like, hey, red jeans. You want to dance? No? Or whatever, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, you go through this, but all that to say, hopefully, if you have a healthy sense, you start learning like, hey, man, you catch more bees with honey, bro. Like, or you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe there's a better way to communicate with people, and you just got to understand that, like, I just think you don't know how to talk to people. Like, you don't know, like, she got the right to be like, no, thank you. And you got to be like, okay, word. You know what I'm saying? You shot your shot. Like, I'm trying to be like as bland as possible. Look, you shoot your shot. You don't make every shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't make every shot. You're going to hit one of them. You know what I'm saying? Somebody going to want to dance with you, and you're just like, oh, okay, great. You know, it was a good time. You know, hey, can we? No? Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. To your point, I think either, it's so weird to me explain because I don't relate to it. I don't relate to somebody who doesn't understand that, like, bro, you're a total stranger. Like, I don't care about your opinion, number one. And why do you feel like you have the right to, like, what is you doing? Like, it's embarrassing, bro. Like, so anyway, I enjoy it, but I think you brought up something that I would love to hear you talk more about. Like, all this to say, like, this is the note I wrote. It's like, I feel like this type of dragging is not only needed, but I think it's holy, right? And I think it's a divine, sacred work to, like, truly roast a person. And I think when it comes to you in politics, it's because you know what you're talking about. It makes it even more important. But I guess my question is, like, do you think that there is something greater than just this is funny going on there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know it seems like it's for the lulz or whatever, or the views or the click or the engagement or whatever. But there's very little that I do on in my content that's not strategic.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to permission. Like you said, these men don't know me.
Yeah.
I don't care what they think about me. I'm doing great, you know. You know, you're free to hate me. I don't care. But I want to, again, provide a permission structure, especially for other women who exist online and who in this moment especially want to start raising their voices to learn how to clap back. Like, you have got to learn, if you're going to be out there, especially right now in the world, as a woman, you have got to learn how to tell somebody to fuck off.
For sure.
In a way that matter, that they will hear, you know, because a lot of times men won't hear no. We know that. The president doesn't know what the word no means. But if you can say it artfully and mean it with your whole chest, oftentimes it will work. So it's almost like providing an example, especially for women who are a little younger than me, because I'm in my 40s now, how to detach themselves from the value assigned to them by random men.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
For sure. And, like, the seasoning on top of that is just corny ass men. Like, just, you are a cornball. Like, that's where it's like, it's not the problem, but it's the part that just, like, gets under my fingernails is like, you're so fucking corny. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They're holding a fish.
Yeah. So I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, you're the same guy, bro. Like,
it's the same guy every time.
why are y'all, where's this aesthetic? And then I'm just like speaking your language. Like, I don't know a single female that likes this.
Nope.
Like, anyway, let's go back to the professional, even though I do love that that's a part of the thing. Like you mentioned before, formerly trained in history, you know, your whiteboard stuff, like you're obviously very well researched. And I have my cynical answer to this, but like, it's just so bizarre to me how specifically, if we're going to use these binaries of like right wing and left wing, like especially like content creation, to where I'm just like, okay, we know that that's a grift. We know that's a hustle. We know you're doing that. But even with that, I'm just like, they just be factually wrong.
Yeah.
To where I'm just like, I'm not even worried about your position. I can't even get to your positions yet. I'm just saying, like, you ain't do no homework. I can't square that circle to me. But like what you do, and I know what I do too, is because I guess we care about reality, is like, I mean, do a lot of homework. You know what I'm saying? So like, I would love to know a little bit about your process as far as like your homework, your research, maybe what some tools you use before you even put it on. Like, I mean, there's been times I've had to be like, hey guys, I fucked up. I thought it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll come back and fact check myself, but I'll just be like, I don't understand fact check at all. Like, I feel like I don't even, that's why I won't do like Jubilees or any debate. I'll be like, man.
Oh, I refuse. No, absolutely not. I'm never
doing no homework. Like, yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
No, that's my actual nightmare.
Yes, exactly.
The stress stream of being in a Jubilee shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the way that, like you were saying, the way that it's approached makes a difference. So, like, I'm not here for a media career. I'm not here to make $1 billion and become an influencer and go work on Chuck Schumer's re-election campaign. I don't give a shit about any of that.
No, thank you.
I am here. I don't fuck with Chuck Schumer.
No, thank you. Yeah.
I am here with a mission. And my mission is to help people who are probably just getting plugged in, or even people who've been plugged in for a while and are getting tired, understand how power operates in America politically, historically and now. And that takes a lot of digging and a lot of research and a lot of fact checking, as you were saying. So I need people to trust me, because if they don't trust me, they're not going to take my advice. They're not going to get involved in the places I tell them to get involved. There's not going to be any strategy to the ways that people are formulating their resistance or their opposition to rising authoritarianism. So it matters a great deal that I am right in the things that I'm saying and that it's accurate, at least. I mean, I'm not saying my takes are always right. And of course, like you said, I make mistakes sometimes and I will go back and correct myself. But I mean, you know, I've been an American history person for 20 years now. So I do have a pretty big base of knowledge.
Decent, yeah.
But I am going to go back before I say a word and like double check my dates, double check like, was this person in the House or the Senate? You know, what was the bill number? Like, I am going to do all of that. And that takes a lot of digging. Like, I don't think it's on purpose necessarily, but going through congressional records everything is very scattered. Nothing is in one place.
Yeah.
You're checking 14 different, resources, congress.gov and all these other things. And I have to collate all of that and put it together. And it takes hours.
Yeah.
But it's my full-time job now. So
yeah,
that's fine. But when I was working full-time, when I had like a corporate job, I was in big tech up until June of last year.
Wow.
So it was just a lot of hours. It was 18, 19-hour days. I slept almost zero. I mean, it's better now, but yeah, I mean, I am very dedicated to making sure that the thing that I'm putting out there is trustworthy, is not emotionally reactive. Like I think that is something that separates me from other creators, especially on the left, is I'm not trying to get a rise out of you. I'm not trying to make you
That's so dope.
Panic. I'm not doing that like, that should terrify every American. I'm not doing that shit. You're an adult. If you want to be terrified, I don't care. Like, your feelings are your own problem.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what's happening, how it's rooted in American history, and what you can do about it. And like what people have done about it in the past when similar things have happened. Because something similar has probably happened. And so like, yeah, that's my strategy.
Yeah. Again, very much so like a kinsman, like spirit in that. Yeah. Like I'm ultimately an educator, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm really just trying to onboard you to be like, hey, bro, like these people aren't smarter than you, you know?
Yes.
Lastly, like I would ask, because you kind of just brought it up, like some sort of like historical parallels as far as like lessons from the past. Like, do you have any that like come to mind like off the head?
Oh, Yes. How much time do you have? No, I know people always want to talk about Nazi Germany right now. And like, I get it. Okay. I'm not saying that there are no commonalities. Of course there are. It's so important to me that we focus on the commonalities that we have in American history, because we are so different from Germany.
Yeah.
Germany was like very ethnically homogenous. It's it's a small country compared to ours.
Yes.
They don't have the same issues that we had. Nazi Germany came out of a very particular time, place, and people. We are a different time, place, and people. So there's that. Like, study Nazi Germany if you want. I'm not saying don't. But if you're going to study Nazi Germany, but you're not going to look at the Black Panthers, and you're not going to look at the Civil Rights Movement, and you're not going to look at Reconstruction, and you're not going to look at Jim Crow,
Reconstruction.
then
Yes.
you're not going to come up with any viable solutions.
Yes.
Because resistance in Germany came from the Soviet Union coming in with
Soviets did it.
But resistance in America comes from Black and Indigenous and Latino people.
Yeah.
Yes. And
we did it. Yeah.
Yes. And labor movements and all it. So you have got to become more familiar with your own people. And that's a little difficult in America, right? Because we're like, we're not really a melting pot. We're more of like a weird mixed chopped salad.
Yes.
But we tend to be in our little, on purpose, our separated, segregated neighborhoods and our segregated schools, and we don't associate with, and we do like Black History Month, and then we forget to read about any other point of Black history outside of that.
Yeah.
And we'll do like Indigenous Peoples Day on Columbus Day.
Yeah.
And never read another piece of history. And all that is a disservice, because those are the effective resistance methods that we can take and carry forward as we move through this administration. And we will come out on the other side. But like,
I love it.
Even something like the Gilded Age, right? Like that, I think, is one of the most important historical analogs, the late 19th century, because in the Gilded Age, we had an oligarchy. There was no income tax, like the Rockefellers. There was so much corruption at every level of government.
Yeah.
Jim Crow was on the rise, was being born out of that era.
Yeah.
Labor unions were coming online and all of that. There's so many parallels, but we made so many mistakes then. We let the Klan come back. Our labor unions were segregated, purposefully segregated.
Yes.
We got lots of things like the FDA and government regulations and things like that were born out of all this corruption. But then we went way too far into scoldy moralizing and got prohibition, which was a terrible idea. So we need to avoid that. We need to avoid leaving behind people like we did during the Gilded Age, because that's what Americans tend to do. We like momentum. We like forward. We like progress. Yeah. And we leave behind all these people who've been oppressed and marginalized, and we just ignore them. So we need to look at our own history and learn not just from the effective resistance of the past, but the mistakes we made in the past. And we can't really do that looking at Nazi Germany, because that ended with a bunker.
Those weren't our mistakes. Yeah, exactly.
And like, he killed himself, and then we, set up NATO and left.
Yeah.
And that's not what we need to do here.
My biggest gripe was especially with like the leftover Nazis, was like, we didn't go hard enough on them. We should, you know what I'm saying? Like, we should have like really stamped that out. But you really cooking, man. Like, I mean, you already nailed it. I see, Gilded Age, slave catchers.
Yes.
Like, to me, this is some Dred Scott shit to me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And all that, like, because that was like, we're saying, okay, who's a citizen?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was the Dred Scott question, right? Or just like, states' rights versus federal rights, Marbury versus Madison, like all this stuff, like you said, like we've already fleshed out that in my mind is playing. But the Gilded Age thing is like, nah, dude, like you cooking, because man, you got me all excited in my history back. I'm excited now. I wish you could see my toes tapping, but like, because I'm like, okay, you think of like the Pinkertons, you think about like the ways for which a collective movement being broke, in the sense that like you had these, steel workers in Pittsburgh that would strike, and then they would just go get freed slaves to be like, well, y'all could go do this. And it's like, man, what the hell you want me to do, dog? You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly. Yes.
I mean,
like you had any choice.
I don't have no choice. You know what I'm saying? It's like to the regime, like touche was a really good move. You know what I'm saying? As somebody trying to hold on to a regime, but like to your point, like it's always like, and this is the hard part for me, even talking about Black history, which is something I want to come back to, with like the cost of this is different for like African American communities. This costs us more. You know what I'm saying? It's going to, in the long run, cost us all. Don't get me wrong, but what you're asking, especially at that moment, going back to the Gilded Age, what you're asking me to step into, we're not ponying up the same amount of money here. You know what I'm saying? So I just wonder, like you said, like, what are those lessons, me living in Los Angeles, like, you know, with the ICE raids, being a part of, like, deeply student in the Latino community, like, what's the strategic, because, you know, Black people get out there, police open fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gonna kill us. You know what I mean? So, like,
100%.
Is this strategic by us, like, kind of like, well, we'll be in the back row, like, what's happening here? You know what I'm saying? Like, so what are those lessons? What are ways for which we can, like you said, like, look at how America has responded to its, you know, Hydra that's rearing itself again is an interesting thing. But I think the last thing before I'm gonna ask you about predictions is this thing about Black history, this being Black History Month. So the hard part for me is, like, especially with, like, children, like, I taught high school for 6 years, you know, when discussing Blackness, or like you said, Indigenous Day or whatever, like, it's this carve out, right, that is, you know, a corrective force, right? But the carve out a lot of times tends to just be like trivia, like vocabulary, like, oh, did you know that this person, did you do, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, of course, because you're trying to, like, I get it, you're trying to whet the appetite, you know what I'm saying? But it's a carve out to me that's not in the context. It's not context embedded. It's not a part of history. It's this carve out that's taught as trivia. You know what I'm saying? And
like an afterthought. Yeah, or an add-on.
It's like an afterthought. You know? But then, like you said, but then never talked about again as if, like, well, it's like, well, we were there the whole time. We're in every chapter. We're in all the semesters you're about to talk through. Like, we was at all of them. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, so you're just going to not point at the Black people for the rest of the year when you talk about this, while there needs to be, and of course I'm a product of it, like the specificity of a moment to say, I just want to stop right here and say that this person was this, you know what I'm saying? But, like, what are ways for which we can re-embed the female voices, the Indigenous voices, the Black voices back into just the curriculum period, which is bastardized by what MAGA's trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Like the bastardized version of that is clearly, obviously racist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, which, so, like, a lot of times we start talking about this, they'd be like, you know what? That's our point. And I'm like, hold up, because that's not your point. You know what I'm saying? That's not the point you're making, right? The point I'm making is saying we were there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I would love to have the dignity of being there the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to echo your point about, like, we're just going to stop talking about natives after Indigenous, like, they was there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and it matters today. Like, I just got into it on Threads or Instagram, whatever, some platform with some leftist, which is, it's not a criticism of leftism. Yeah. But he was saying, like, he was criticizing Kamala Harris's campaign. Fine. I don't care how you feel about Kamala Harris. But he was a white guy, and he was saying she kept making pitches about what she could do for the Black community, but she never said what she could do for white people. And I was like, my good bitch. First of all, you made that up. Like, she went on All Black podcast once, and you took that to mean that she didn't care about white people. Yeah. And, like, second of all, what part of, like, first-time homebuyer tax credit signals to you, I only care about Black people? Yeah. Like, the idea that policies or history books or whatever that have Black people in them or that would benefit Black people only benefit Black people is one of the reasons why we're in this stupid situation that we're in now. Because
it's bizarre.
The recognition of how Black and Indigenous and Latino people have been in this country since the beginning. The Spanish have been here longer than the English, for what it's worth. Spanish has been spoken in this country longer than English. Yeah. To put a pin in that. That raises everyone's boats. Like, policies that benefit our marginalized communities benefit everyone else. Yeah. Like, the rising tide truly does raise all of the ships. Yeah, totally. And we can't get to an understanding of that without understanding the history. Because, like, take, for example, what we're dealing with right now. Mostly direct attacks on the 14th Amendment, which is a Reconstruction era amendment.
That was because of us, guys.
Yes. And
why you have that? Yeah.
And attacks on the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was passed to ensure that all Black citizens could vote.
For us.
So the things that are fucking up white people right now are because you don't understand why we got them in the first place.
Yes.
That's my rant.
You cooking. No, you nailed it. That was my exact point. You're making my exact point. Where I'm just like, no, this is like, we were here. We're part of the country. So last thing is like, besides the prediction of not counting Trump going to try to cancel the midterms, which is like, I was like, I don't know why we're talking about the midterms. He's going to try to cancel. But besides that, like, who should we have our eye on? What do you think?
Oh, for the midterms or for 28?
Midterms.
Okay. I think we're going to win the midterms.
Okay.
I think that the decentralization, the federalization of elections, the way that every state runs their own elections, I don't see a logistical way for him to prevent that from happening.
Period.
He could tell states not to have elections, I suppose. The only ones that would obey him would be red states, in which case we would have a congressional election of only Democrats that go to the Hill.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. That's how we got the Reconstruction era amendments.
Yes.
Was the conservatives in the South stayed home.
Yeah.
And didn't go to Congress. So fine. But I don't think that's going to happen because there are too many Republicans in red states who want to run for governor and who want to be senators. And they're already having fundraisers. So I do think we're going to have the midterms. And I think we're going to win. And I'm basing that on the special elections that we've been having.
For sure. Yeah.
Since just January of last year. And it's not just, special elections are different. We're like plus 13 on average over performance in special elections. That's not going to replicate itself in the midterms because special elections tend to be like very partisan.
For sure.
People who are very dedicated to coming out. But in the last couple of special elections that we've had in Texas, New Jersey, Louisiana, Republicans have flipped.
Yeah.
And that is where I'm like, it's in the bag. Like maybe the majority won't be huge. I don't know that it's going to be a landslide because they're going to fuck with it, whatever.
Yeah.
Voter suppression is real. But I do think that at least the House we're gonna win. And the Senate, I'm looking at, I think Alaska is super interesting. Ohio, North Carolina for sure. Everybody loves Roy Cooper in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Texas. Whether you like Jasmine Crockett or Tallarico, either one of them are interesting.
Yeah.
Texas could be interesting. So yeah, I think it's
love it.
If I were a Republican, I would be very nervous.
You better be, because like you can't pretzel yourself any worse. Like I think people forget that like ambition didn't die when Trump became president. People still are ambitious. And at some point you gonna realize like shit ain't working, homie. Which brings us to the last one. If we got time, let me ask you about 2028. What do you think?
It's too
third term.
It's too. No, God, no. He's not going to make it that long.
I was like, he's gonna. I keep telling all my friends, I was like, I think you have to accept that he's gonna die in office. Anyway, but yeah.
He's not going to make that. It's going to be Vance. Although I think he'll have some competition, maybe from Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's going to try to run.
I think Marjorie's running. What about Tuck? Tucker?
I think he might go for like a cabinet position.
You think so?
He's like this stupid little bow tie. I don't think anybody would vote for him. I don't know.
I can't stand that man. I really don't like him. But,
I can't.
But yeah.
He's so unlikable.
Yeah.
He's so but so is JD Vance, to be honest. Anyway, on our side, it's so early.
Yeah.
And I think that there are people who are starting to poke their heads up now. Like I think Ossoff in Georgia is starting to be a little, and he's the best fundraiser in the Senate. So the two best fundraisers are actually a ticket I would really be interested in, which is Ossoff and AOC. They're the two best fundraisers in the party. And that's a ticket I would not be upset about,
Damn. AOC ticket would be crazy.
I'm not necessarily on the Newsom train. I'm not going to lie. I'm not really on the Newsom train.
Sister, tell you a little secret about how California feels about Newsom.
I know.
Which is not so much of a secret.
Yeah, not so hot.
Now, we definitely be looking at our red... Our orange counties, our red states, and they be like, Gavin Newsom. We're like, no.
Sure. Hard agree.
For real. Same. Hard agree. Yeah. Anyway.
I appreciate that he was one of the first high-profile Democrats to stand up to Trump in this administration. I appreciate that. That's not good enough reason for me to make you president.
Not the president. Yeah. I'm like, you're not a flaming bag of shit. I got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Good.
Like, you're a decent human.
You're not a fascist.
Yeah, you're not a fascist. Like, okay, but you willing to get on a podcast because for some reason you want, like, I don't understand where's your code, And also, I'm like, I don't know, man. A grown man like that still slicking his hair back it's just odd to me.
That's going to do it for some, 60-year-old ladies in the suburbs, though. He's going to have like a Kennedy thing, like, oh, he's so handsome. But so is Ossoff. Ossoff is handsome.
Ossoff's handsome.
So
yeah, maybe.
Go with that guy.
I don't know, bro. Yeah, nah, I feel like here's the thing about we need to end this. But the thing about Gavin to me is I'm like, there's this just like sheen to where it's just like, oh, you need to be liked.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, it's this whole like LA transplant thing, like, you know, where everybody's like, oh, it's so Hollywood. And we're like, natives are like, those are all transplants. We're not like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but to me, he just has that to where I'm just like, oh, you need to be the prom king. You need to like, oh, you need this too much. You feel me? Like, and to me, I'm like,
ooh,
I can't ride like this. You need it. You need to be popular too much. And
I prefer a president.
I can't trust you.
Yeah. They need to resent being there a little bit. I feel like it needs to feel like
you gotta kind of be like, I'll be all right if it don't work out.
Yeah.
You know,
there needs to be a sense of service, not a sense of entitlement.
Man, my camera turns off every half hour. I don't know why. I still have to figure that out. Anyway, but that's a good sign for us to wrap this up. Please, can you drop all the @ mentions for your stuff so that these people can enjoy what I enjoy?
It's Amanda's Mild Takes everywhere, except not Blue Sky. I can't deal with that, but everywhere else.
Yeah, Amanda's Mild Takes with the Pettysburg address.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Y'all go, please. You know, she be over there dropping gems. It's just a good time.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Wasn't that delicious?
So good.
Your bill, ladies.
I got it.
No, I got it.
Seriously, I insist. I insisted first. Oh, don't be silly. You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? Business software is expensive, and when you buy software from lots of different companies, it's not only expensive, it gets confusing, slow to use, hard to integrate. Odoo solves that because all Odoo software is connected on a single affordable platform. Save money without missing out on the features you need. Odoo has no hidden costs and no limit on features or data. Odoo has over 60 apps available for any needs your business might have, all at no additional charge. Everything from websites to sales to inventory to accounting, all linked and talking to each other. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
This is It Could Happen Here, Executive Disorder, our weekly newscast covering what's happening in the White House, the crumbling world, and what it means for you. I'm Garrison Davis. Today I'm joined by Sophie Lichterman, James Stout, and Robert Evans. This episode, we're covering the week of February 4th to February 11th. It was the Super Bowl. Wasn't that fun? I heard it was streaming on Peacock this year, so I booted up my Peacock account, went to the sports section, and was surprised at how few Americans there were and how many other flags there were. And I do not remember this much skating. typically at the previous Super Bowl shows, or the ski jumping. But I mean, it was still fun to watch people compete.
Yeah.
This is because I was watching the Winter Olympics. Get it? It's
I did get it.
Good work, Gare. No, fun stuff.
What's your favorite Winter Olympics event, Garrison, as a Canadian?
Honestly, the ski jumping is pretty exciting. They really fly.
Yeah, they do.
That video of that guy that went viral that did like a under 6-minute mile on skis uphill.
Yeah, going uphill.
That was crazy.
To be clear, he's not going for a mile. Like he just goes uphill. Like the whole course is like a mile-ish.
Well,
but yeah, still cross-country skiers have insane VO2 maxes.
Wild.
Cross-country ski when I get the chance. It's fun. But I don't go that fast.
But no, we do need to discuss the actual Super Bowl halftime show. Actually, well, no, not the actual one, the other one.
Yeah.
The All-American halftime show.
Oh, maybe I'll just say the kid who Bad Bunny gave his Grammy to was not the same child who you saw being abducted by ICE in a little blue bunny hat.
No,
Yes,
it was supposed to symbolize a young Benito.
Him. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not, Not anything else.
It really was not.
There was a lot of underlying messages in that show that were very important, but it would be weird.
It would be weird if he put in a kid that looked like the 5-year-old that was abducted and imprisoned by ICE to give him a Grammy.
It makes no sense.
That would have been really off-putting.
Would not have been a cool move.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Just to say, it was a great halftime show. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
And now here's a clip of the All-American halftime show.
The real halftime show.
With our favorite Kid Rock. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Yeah! Somebody make some motherfucking noise in here!
I haven't seen this angle. There's like nobody there. It looks like
this is not from the show. This is from Silicon Valley. This was a joke that they did on the TV show Silicon Valley, which looks almost exactly like
hilarious
the Turning Point halftime show.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't hear that.
Aside from the jorts,
I thought that was a new angle. They did have more people in the crowd, but they were hired actors, but they did have more people in the crowd.
Shockingly, it lines up.
Our colleague, Molly Conger, described his outfit as needed to run out to Home Depot to pick up a part for something. And I think that's really
well, because he's in like shorts and like a t-shirt and has a wrist brace on.
Yeah. It's great.
We'll get to Kid Rock in a sec, but let's start at the beginning.
Please.
While watching the Turning Point stream, there was no indication where the show was being broadcast from or whether it was live, but 4 performers sang back to back to back, indicating the show was cut together from previously taped performances.
Yes.
The venue was this dark, narrow, rectangular room with high ceilings and studio lights. In the middle was a long stage with a small audience on either side, maybe 200 people tops. But the show was introduced by none other than Jack Posobiec, which I will show now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show. And this one's for you, Charlie.
Great stuff.
So
Great
that's the stuff.
446 downvotes on Rumble.
That's rough.
Yeah. And I watched this. I will admit I watched it after the actual halftime show because it was on YouTube, and there was no reason to actually catch it during the Super Bowl. And by the way, the viewership numbers suggest that most people who did catch it watched it after the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's weird to pause or to turn off the sound in the middle of the Super Bowl and pull up like a laptop or something to go watch the fucking Turning Point USA show.
Yeah.
No, it was really cumbersome, really antisocial behavior at the Super Bowl party to turn off the stream, plug in your laptop, go to rumble.com.
If you are doing that, your kids have not talked to you in longer than they've been alive. Like they abandoned you before they were born.
Well, President Trump watched the actual Super Bowl halftime show.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
There's photos of him watching it.
He knows that this is loser shit.
Yeah.
It's just about the loserest loser shit that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And right after Jack Posobiec introduced it, It cuts to this. You've got this black stage, and there's like an amp on the stage, and a guy walks up to it with a guitar.
Not a guy. Brantley Gilbert, okay? Some respect.
That's Brantley. Okay, that's Brantley.
I was going to introduce his name afterwards, but Garrison, you missed something important because Brantley Gilbert's band is where this guy is from, but the all-electric guitar performance of the Star Spangled Banner is led by the great guitarist Spencer Wasdorp.
Wow.
Who?
Wasdorp?
Spencer Wasdorp.
Where are they finding these guys?
Is that a stage name or is that a...
He's in Brantley Gilbert's band, Garrison. This all sounds like an I Think You Should Leave sketch.
Yeah.
I'm making up these names.
No, the whole performance was an I Think You Should Leave sketch.
Yeah.
But no, it's beautiful electric guitar riff of the Star Spangled Banner opening the show.
Do you have a clip for us, Garrison?
Bad. No, I got a clip to play because there's a moment here. They had pyrotechnics during the show,
of course,
like the real show had, but they're not good. They were better for the Kid Rock performance. For the electric guitars, they're just kind of sad, and they make a sad little popping sound. Well, again, a single man is playing guitar on stage.
Jimi Hendrix played the Star Spangled Banner on guitar, but he was good at playing guitar. So,
but he was one of the best guitar players who ever lived. It's a little different.
It does seem like a high yardstick that they've chosen to measure themselves against.
We'll talk about that in a sec, but I gotta show you guys. You just need to see the pop of these pyrotechnics just for a second. And you, the listener, needs to hear it.
Is that it? Yeah. It's giving village fireworks display.
I lost my shit when I saw that.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was great. I don't know what you're talking about. I loved it.
Per what you were saying earlier, there's a New York Times article,
for fuck's sake,
that the original title it was published under was "The All-American Halftime Featured an Electric Anthem Unlike Hendrix." Now, they changed that title in the Reporter's Notebook article to "What does a wailing electric take on the Star Spangled Banner mean?"
I'm glad that they are getting to the core of the issues, the publication that ignored all my pitches about Myanmar for several years.
Yeah, no, it's good. This is much more important. Let's listen to a quote from this article that I think we can all agree matters much more than a war. In musical terms, Wasdorp's version of the Star Spangled Banner was conservative too. Despite the bent notes and feedback, it largely stuck to the melody and conveyed a reverent if stubborn form of patriotism.
Jeez.
I don't know. I kind of loved it. What do you mean? No, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's hard watch.
That was the best part of it. I hate to say it, but unfortunately the pyrotechnics were basically competent for the Kid Rock show, which might have been the only competent part of the Kid Rock show.
Yeah, I want to hear the Kid Rock show. I haven't...
I think there's some other hits from this show, though.
You're
including
right.
Brantley Gilbert's second song, which starts as a slow acoustic ballad and then abruptly changes into whatever this is.
He's trying to rap. He's trying to rap. Oh dear.
He is trying. He is trying.
Small town, he said, she said. I'm not going to read into what those lyrics are trying to express.
Whoa.
But that was the second song. I want to skip to the third act, which is Lee Bryce. He started his second song by saying, quote, "Charlie gave people microphones so that they could say what was on their mind. This is what's on mine." And this next song starts like a parody of a conservative country song. Here's the beginning.
I just want to catch my fish, drive my truck, drink my beer. Not wake up to all this stuff I don't want to hear.
Stunning.
I just want to catch my fish.
I'm getting a little teary-eyed, honestly. Let's just listen to that.
The next part is insane.
The next line is...
Okay, I'm coming at this raw. So.
This is the next line of the song. "The same kind of gun I hunt with just killed another man. The only thing mine ever shot was a deer from a deer stand. That's the next line.
Why are you including that, man?
Lyrical genius.
Why would you do that in a song? And the way he sings it is so bizarre.
It's
it's about Charlie Kirk.
I would like to hear it.
Oh, I'm just realizing.
Like the same kind of gun I hunt with, just killed another man. Only thing mine ever shot was
what is he doing?
deer from my deer stand.
What is happening?
The gun violence problem is bad enough that he has to like make a comment about it existing and being depressing. He has to do that, but then immediately, because the next bit after this, most of the song is basically about I don't want to listen to the news.
Correct.
Like I don't want to watch things that remind me
the very next verse is I just want to cut my grass, feed my dog, wear my boots, not turn the TV on and sit and watch the news.
That's an option for you. Like, you can do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's very doable, friend.
That's entirely doable for you.
Folks, you could do that.
And I'm sure he is. But this is what he's scared of hearing on the news.
Be told if I tell my own daughter that little boys ain't little girls.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
This castle yours world, it ain't easy because
Of the creek in this cancel your ass world.
But then he said it. He put it in a song.
Oh my God, I almost choked.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, man, you're being paid to sing about this.
It's amazing.
In fact, it is your job because you're not there for your musical abilities.
It's your presumably well-paying job.
Yeah. The whole repeated refrain of the song is, it's not so easy being country in this country nowadays. That's
you guys are in charge.
The entire song.
Question. Who is at this event? How many people? Where is it?
About 200 paid attendees in Atlanta, Georgia at a soundstage.
Paid attendees. Crucial.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of like fresh Stetsons and like unbroken in boots in the audience, maybe.
There's so many cowboy hats in the audience.
Yeah.
You don't understand.
Yeah, it's like a bar in Jackson, Wyoming. I get the vibe.
There's so many of them. And you're like, you're in Atlanta. Not many people wear cowboy hats in Atlanta. I'm sorry. It's not like Texas or Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, I love to see someone in a freshly purchased Stetson.
The next song after this country one, well, I mean, they're all country songs, but like the next song is what I think is a love song that goes, quote, sometimes I drink too much, sometimes I test your trust, sometimes I don't know why you stay with me, I'm hard to love. Which maybe that's
Sounds
maybe
true.
that's related to the last song you were singing. Maybe a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
About bullying your children.
Wow.
Sick.
Oh, man. But finally, the main act, right? What we've all been waiting for. Kid Rock. I'm going to play a little over a minute for us. We're not going to include all of this in the episode. We're just going to include the I am a kid section. But I do need to show this all to James.
Yeah, because this is fun. I think a lot about like there's that Steve Goodman parody country song that you couldn't write today because it's better musically and less ridiculous than the actual country songs that we are hearing.
All right, James, are you ready?
Always. I've never seen this before.
All right, that's good.
That's enough. That's more than enough.
There's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, we got to unpack some of this.
He was better at the RNC.
He's flipping that mic nonstop. He loves that move.
But his name is Kid.
But that's how he got the wrist injury.
I will say the first guys to play had a mic with a pair of brass knuckles built into it, which I did like. I think we do need a version of that that's a full knuckle duster from World War I, so it's got the trench knife on the other side.
Perfect, yeah.
We can use
and
that
then you
for
flip
live
it,
shows.
and at least take a risk. Don't be a coward every time you flip the mic.
Yeah, take a risk. Be a man.
Oh.
As the Kid Rock lights turn on, he explosively jumps onto the stage. White fur coat, acid-washed jeans, black fedora. Yeah, I used to be a piece of shit.
Jeans, Garrison. These are jorts. They are cut off above the knee.
Jorts, and second correction, it was a white fur coat vest.
Coat vest.
Yeah, it's a gilet.
It's a vest. It's a vest. And I should note also that his fedora did not have the safari flaps. I repeat, it did not have the safari flaps.
But it is leather, like a shiny black leather, not a breathable hat.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. It really is, and I think you should leave Sketch come to life.
It's so good. It's so funny.
And he just jumps around flipping that mic.
Yeah.
How long does he perform? How many songs do we get?
He gets like 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah.
But none of the audio for this song matches what we're seeing on screen.
It's completely out of sync.
The syncing is totally off, leading a lot of people to suspect that it was lip synced on stage poorly. We'll get to that in a sec.
Sure.
But the next song began with a 2-minute prelude featuring the cello and violin, which
Sick. Is it one of those like it's just the frame of a cello?
Oh, James, you'll see.
I'm gonna see a fucking offense to God. That's a real cello. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting outfit.
It's a cellist dressed kind of like Ben
Why
Franklin.
is he dressed like that?
Yeah, one of the 3 Musketeers is playing cello for those of you listening at home.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our brother, Robert Ritchie.
Robert
Ritchie is Kid Rock. That's
Kid
his
Rock.
real
Yes.
government name.
Oh, wow.
They reintroduce him under his legal name for the second song.
Kid Rocks are not born. They're made.
Yeah. Those people who introduced him, that was it for them?
Unclear.
Okay.
They only existed on screen to introduce Kid Rock as Kid Rock the first time, and then as Richie Russell, whatever his
Robert
name.
Ritchie?
Robert
Yeah.
Ritchie.
Robert?
Whatever his real name is. That's the only time they appeared, was to
Okay.
introduce Kid Rock both times. Now, after the show, it was revealed that this whole thing was pre-taped on a soundstage in Atlanta. And a few days later, Kid Rock released a video addressing the rumors that his performance was lip-synced, which he denies.
You know, we taped it, and then they sent me a first cut, and my comment was, the sync is off. They were trying to line up. First off, if we would have done it, if we would have recorded it and then played like we were singing it, lip-synced it, it would have been pie. It would have been pie to line up. It was very difficult for them because somebody clearly wasn't super familiar with the song. Also, when I asked them, I go, you know, Freddie raps that song with me, my DJ. And they're like, he does what? And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, yeah, do we have any cutaways of Freddie? And they didn't. No. He wasn't, were you lit up? No. He didn't even have a light up.
I was lit up.
Any TV time?
No.
Sorry, dog.
I mean, you can see my silhouette.
So they don't have that footage. Now it's extremely difficult for them to line up the sync. Could have been done if we had more time. I'm confident they could have got it right.
Let's pour one out for Freddie. Kid Rock's DJ. No screen time.
So Mr. Rock said that Turning Point was having trouble lining up the audio with the visuals, in part because the song is actually performed vocally by 2 people going back and forth.
Wow.
And Turning Point did not have a camera on the other vocalist. So that's why it looks weird when there's obviously vocals being heard, but Mr. Rock isn't singing.
And again, the reason why no one at Turning Point is familiar with Kid Rock's music is that even they don't like Kid Rock's music.
Yeah. And Mr. Rock demonstrated how this is, supposed to go in this video with his DJ, which we do need to see 30 seconds of.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Gare.
Gare, I love you so much.
No, I'm sorry, Sophie. We need to have a conversation about this. This is in violation of several rules the company has set.
I just want to call out the fact that there is a pike behind them. And I do mean the fish that has been taxidermied. Fish. Yeah. Not what you normally expect.
I would have expected the other kind of pike behind Garrison.
No, that seems like Mr. Rock's abode, actually. This feels very on brand for him.
Is that a drone?
No, it's a deer antler turned into a candlestick.
Yeah, it looks like a deer antler turned into a candlestick.
Classy. Okay. Maybe that's...
Although from a distance, it does kind of look like a bad 3D printing of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
It's for my hookers all tricking out in Hollywood. It's for my hoods of the world misunderstood.
I said, it's all good.
Yeah, and it's all in fun.
Now get in the bed, try to love someone.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Oh, man.
I'm having a physical reaction. I've cringed with every muscle in my body.
Here's how he explains how it's supposed to go.
So he's filling in those words for me so I can boom, bang my head, keep going and carrying on. Now when I'm doing that, you see me, I'm all over the stage. Ooh, I'm flipping the mic, I'm down here, I'm over here, back, boom. I know these guys had a difficult time getting that sync together. So I have nothing but good things to say, not only about Turning Point, but the production team that they work with on this and other events they've done.
My favorite part about live music is when you post a over 4 minute clip video explaining how it was
4 minute, 50-second video
about how it was supposed to go and explaining to people things that don't actually exist.
No, his whole delivery sounds like a Tim Robinson bit. It's so beautiful.
Incredible.
The Bad Bunny halftime show averaged 135.4 million viewers during the show's time slot, and Apple Music claims it's now the most watched show in Super Bowl history. Meanwhile, TPUSA's show attracted upwards of 6.1 million concurrent live viewers on Turning Point USA's YouTube channel. Due to licensing restrictions, Turning Point was unable to stream the show on X, the Everything app, as they originally planned.
Which got announced like an hour before.
Right before.
But that's probably why they didn't hit 135 million, because 129 of them were waiting.
Otherwise, they would have got it. Yeah. The All-American Halftime Show now boasts 23 million views on their YouTube and Rumble pages combined. The Bad Bunny show is 70 million. A lot of these views are also people like me and other researchers.
Yeah.
For sure.
And just, curious Americans who are interested in what they had to throw together. But footage from inside Trump's Super Bowl party shows that even he did not turn into the All-American Halftime Show. Now it's time for you to tune into these ads. Shall we do the real news now?
Sure.
So on Monday, February 9th, 2026, so about 3 days before we recorded this, there was a student-led walkout protesting federal immigration arrests and protesting in large part last year's massive ICE actions in Chicago. And students from a number of different high schools walked out. This included students from East Aurora High School, where there was a notable clash is the word, or skirmish is the word. Like, skirmish is what Shaw Local News described it as between protesters and police. There's video, and at least from the limited clip of video we have, I wouldn't call it a skirmish. I would call it police getting pissed and assaulting some kids. But yeah, we don't see the rest of the interaction. This was apparently something that went on for a couple of hours. So I don't know what led up to this. I can tell you the video shows what looks like some high school kids walking in kind of a line outside of their high school. There's some police by. The police are clearly talking to or maybe yelling at one of the kids. And then as the video comes in, an officer just charges in and tackles hard, like a running tackle, a teenage boy, like a child smaller than him, which leads to several other police officers grabbing kids. At least one student punches a police officer in the head while the officer is on top of his friend, beating his friend. The police only responded by saying, look, we had to act. A student punched a police officer. From the Shaw Local article, the police department said the officer who was punched was transported to a local hospital for medical attention for his injuries. They don't show he and his colleagues literally tackling kids first before they get hit. If somebody tackles my friend next to me, I might start punching. That's just life. Yeah. And it's this is kind of an ongoing story at the moment. I don't know what's going to wind up being the result of this, but it inspired, at least initially, a lot of anger, and there have been further protests as a result of the police violence. Students in the area are now demanding the resignation of the police chief in East Aurora. The police have not really acknowledged those demands yet. I don't know if this is going to turn into a larger protest movement. There's some signs that maybe it will, that there may be further walkouts specifically as a result of the police violence. But this is a situation we will be watching, obviously seeing police violently beating kids for, speaking, for doing the thing they should be doing in high school, which is experimenting with believing things and taking stands.
Yeah.
So we'll be watching this to see kind of what results next. But that's sort of where we are at the moment.
Yeah, that video is pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit more about some immigration stuff. Let's start with policing, shall we? I have reviewed the police report for the ICE officer who, in late January, negligently discharged his issued handgun in a hotel room. Bradley Shaver was attempting to fix a backstrap from his Glock. I'll quote the report here. Quote, with his back facing room 320 and the firearm pointed in the area of Bradley's torso, he attempted to remove the backstrap that was currently on the firearm while it was still loaded. At some point, the firearm discharged. Luckily, the occupant of that room had just checked into the hotel and was walking to their room when the shot was fired, so there was no one injured. I will quote again from the report. Initially, the agent thought the gunshot came from somewhere else, and he yelled, "Shots fired," and then told his wife he had to go and hang up. Shaver then felt heat on the left side of his body, looked down and saw the damage to his shirt and realized the shot had come from his own weapon. He said the round went through his sweatshirt and the shirt underneath, but did not penetrate his Under Armour compression layer or injure him. It seems like this person was attempting to repair or remove a part from his gun that was still loaded, and he didn't think to unload the gun.
All of this is stuff you shouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
You have to check before you do stuff to a gun to make sure it's unloaded. And even when you've checked to make sure it's unloaded, you should still act like it's loaded and do stuff like not have your finger on the trigger and make sure it's clear of a holster so that there's nothing that, like, especially like a leather holster where maybe stuff could get bowed in and pull the trigger. You just don't do any of the things he was doing with a gun, especially if you're a cop, but also you do all the things he did with a gun if you're a cop, because this happens regularly.
Yeah. In this case, a 30-year veteran who had just returned after 2 years of retirement. I want to talk a little bit now about Liam Conejo Ramos. This is the 5-year-old who was detained in Minneapolis last month. People will remember seeing images of him in a blue bunny hat. Liam and his father were detained on the 20th of January in his driveway after returning from school. They were order released by Judge Fred Beery, who wrote in his order, quote, observing human behavior confirms that for some among us, the perfidious lust for unbridled power and the imposition of cruelty in its quest know no bounds and are bereft of human decency, and the rule of law be damned. You could tell the judge was incredibly pissed off at the government, I'll put it that way. DHS then attempted to expedite the removal of Conejo Ramos and his family, but the family were granted a continuance by his judge. Liam and his father is Adrian Conejo Arias, or Arias. I've seen various permutations of his father's name, I think perhaps because some people doing reporting are not familiar with how last names are generally configured in the Spanish-speaking world. So I'm not quite sure how his last name is pronounced. But Liam and his father entered in December of 2024. When they were detained at Dili. Dili is a detention center for families, right? It is a place that I have reported on before. In my DerDerian follow-up series, I spoke about Primrose and Kimberly, who were both detained at Dili, and they went into some detail about the conditions there. I'm glad to see that Dili is getting more attention in sort of bigger, more legacy media outlets now. I also saw that there was a protest at Dili, seemingly while Liam was there, and we can see this because of drone footage of people walking out of the buildings and assembling in sort of spaces in between the buildings, and they can be heard chanting in some of that footage. Now I want to move on to something I've seen DHS doing recently, which is they're trying to push back against the evidence that they are using schools and children as bait to detain non-citizens, right? I just spoke about how Liam was detained, right? It was the fact that he was at school that allowed those agents to target his father, right? I believe they got Liam to knock on the door and his dad came out, which obviously was part of the reason that this particular detention was so controversial. DHS, in a post on X, said, quote, ICE is not going to schools to arrest children. A dangerous illegal alien felon fleeing into a school or a child sex offender working as an employee may create a situation where an arrest is made to protect public safety. Criminals are no longer able to hide in America's schools to avoid arrest. POTUS Trump and Secretary Noem trust our brave law enforcement to use common sense. We will not tie the hands of law enforcement officers. They must be allowed to protect children from public safety threats. Obviously, if someone is a a sex offender, they can't work at a school, right? That's how background checks work. The DHS tweet includes a screenshot of a Houston Chronicle article which details how HISD has lost 4,000 students due to the ICE crackdown, right? This is students who are, for the most part, afraid to come to school. And they've seen a 22% decline in migrant student enrollment. Obviously, I just want to note that ICE has detained parents outside schools. And a notable incident last year, they detained a 15-year-old disabled boy in Los Angeles. Finally, from me, I want to talk about some legislation that is being proposed in the state of Washington. So the state of Washington's House Bill 2321 proposes legislation that focuses on what it calls blocking features that must be integrated into 3D printers to prevent their use in creating firearms. Blocking features are, I'm quoting here, a software controls process that deploys a firearms blueprint detection algorithm such that those features identify and reject print requests for firearms or illegal firearm parts with a high degree of reliability and cannot be overridden or otherwise defeated by a user with significant technical skill. What this would effectively do is either prevent the sale of 3D printers in Washington state or install state-level spyware onto 3D printers, which would obviously be able to be used for things far beyond firearms. And people have notably been 3D printing whistles a great deal in Minneapolis, right? There's been lots of coverage of this. I think it would be very naive for people to think that this would start and end with the creation of unregistered firearms.
Yeah. No, they'll go. I mean, they'll do stuff shit like try to enforce Games Workshop's copyrights and stop them from printing models or whatever.
Exactly, right? Like it opens a whole world of IP enforcement in 3D printing, and it more or less ends. The thing that I find beautiful about 3D printing is not that like I can make little plastic things in my office. It's that it shows me that people will choose to create beautiful and innovative things even when there is not a profit incentive for doing so.
Yes. And here's the thing. It would be a different discussion if this were a country where the only way to get a gun was to 3D print it, but it's not.
Yes, Washington state, right? You do not have to drive that far from Washington state to a state where it would be perfectly legal to do a private party transfer in the Walmart parking lot.
Yep. And also, there's just a lot of guns in Washington. Yeah. Like there are in Oregon, like there is everywhere in the country. And to the extent that 3D printed firearms are used for crime, they tend to be used like specifically in gang crime, where if the 3D printed gun isn't available, the professional criminals will access a separate gun. Americans are not overwhelmingly using 3D printed firearms to shoot up schools. They're using perfectly normally purchased firearms to shoot up schools.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Because this country is full of guns. Yeah, the state of California is also pursuing a case against 3D printed firearms code hosting websites. California passed an extremely broad law last year that prohibits the hosting, distribution, and promotion of the, quote, unlawful manufacture of firearms. This has significant repercussions for the First Amendment, right? Like the code itself is not a tangible thing. It's not a gun. It is speech. But in this case, it is the instructions that allow the machine to create gun, right?
Yeah.
It appears that there are over 100 other people indicted in this case. I'm guessing that those are probably the designers who posted their STLs for firearms on the catalog.
I think that the evidence also suggests that's unlikely to hold up in court.
Yeah.
Because like right now, there's a case over the Kansas laws that are mandating like you have age basically restrictions on websites and the like. Yeah. And there was a lawsuit from like a mom who alleged that despite this, her kid was able to access a website that was located out of the state because it didn't have any of these restrictions. And the judge in Kansas ruled like, well, our law doesn't restrict people in other states. They don't have to have like this. Like that's just, you can't actually enforce this.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes in California. But
yeah, California's suing for damages in this case. It's a civil case, not a criminal one.
Sure.
But still, I mean, there have been a lot of cases about 3D printed guns and how they are covered under the First Amendment. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this because I guess like there are attacks on the First Amendment from just about every angle right now, and I think we should pay attention to that. That is all I have. Shall we take a little break and then talk about pedophiles?
Sure. I love talking about pedophiles.
That's what we do.
I don't.
We're back. This is yet another episode of the pedophiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I volunteered to do this section. These are Epstein updates as of today, which is Wednesday, February 11th. There were quite a few things.
We just finished recording a 4-parter on him for Bastards, and there's more new shit.
Yeah.
It just keeps coming.
It is endless.
It really is.
I want to start off, which at the top of the week, Ghislaine Maxwell was supposed to speak to the House Oversight Committee, and she was called in for questioning. And during a video call, just so folks know, she is serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking at a federal prison camp in Texas. But she invoked her Fifth Amendment right to avoid answering questions that would be self-incriminating. This was expected. But her lawyer's statement was interesting, so I'm going to read it to the audience now. Members of the committee, on my advice, Ghislaine Maxwell respectfully invoke her Fifth Amendment right to silence and decline to answer your questions today, even though she would very much like to answer your questions. She must remain silent because Ms. Maxwell has a habeas petition currently pending that demonstrates that her conviction rests on a fundamentally unfair trial. For example, jurors lied during voir dire to secure seats on the jury, and the government promised immunity and then broke that promise. Newly disclosed documents now demonstrate these facts conclusively. If this committee and the American public truly want to hear the unfiltered truth about what happened, there is a straightforward path. Ms. Maxwell is prepared to speak fully and honestly, if granted clemency by President Trump.
Sure.
Only she can provide the complete account.
Oh, I bet.
Some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters. For example, both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Ms. Maxwell alone can explain why, and the public is entitled to that explanation. Thank you.
Look, I'll talk to Donald Trump if I can get immunity for some things.
She's like, by the way, would love to speak.
Gonna need immunity.
Yeah.
The guy that could grant me clemency, I can vouch for that guy.
That's the most doesn't commit crimes thing a person could possibly say.
Wild.
Yeah.
I'm moving on to another guy that was all over the Epstein files, Casey Wasserman.
Mm-hmm. Casey Was.
Robert just said that like he knew the guy.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I always called him.
Casey Wasserman, he's the founder and CEO of Wasserman, which is a talent agency / sports marketing agency. And the reason I'm bringing this up is for two reasons. There's two things I want to discuss here. The first one is that since this got announced, he's had major clients, major stars, as well as athletes say, that's gross, and I'm not going to work with you anymore, and I've left the agency, which is fucking cool.
Which is good. It's what you should do if you find out that you are working for someone in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Someone who was specifically communicating consistently with Epstein after his conviction, right? There's a lot of people who are named in the files.
A lot of random journalists whose articles got shared in the files or something. That yes.
Yeah.
Big name stars here. We're talking like Chappell Roan. You're so annoying. You're so annoying. Chappell Roan was probably the first big name to be like, ew, I'm out.
Yeah.
And another big part of this is Casey Wasserman is leading the preparations for the 2028 Summer Olympic Games that are going to be located in Los Angeles. And per Fox LA, the LA 2028 board officially supported Chair Casey Wasserman on Wednesday, rejecting calls for his resignation following an independent misconduct review. While multiple LA elected officials demanded he step down, the board cited his strong leadership and cooperations as reasons for his retention. Ew.
I can't believe the good name of the Olympics finally has a stain on its record.
I know.
Right. Who would have thought?
Can you imagine the Olympics being associated with a bad man?
I love the Olympics. This sucks. How will I watch trampoline?
Uh-huh. What about luge? Wait, no, that's only in the winter.
That's happening right now.
That's already happening. Yeah, you can watch luge.
Yeah, you're right. The one good sport in the Olympics is already happening, so we're fine.
We have to be clear on this. Luge has no links to the Jeffrey Epstein files that we know of.
The Italian luge Olympics, completely clean, no problems.
Yeah.
Now I want to move on to probably the biggest story of the week, which is Attorney General Pam Bondi took heated questions from lawmakers in a competitive congressional hearing over the Justice Department's handling of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein that exposed sensitive private information about victims despite redaction efforts, per the AP.
She frame-mugged everyone at this hearing.
In my opinion, this was the most outrageously unprofessional, shameful, censurable, and sickening congressional hearing in history, and she is a disgrace and disgusting. And yeah, I want to get into a little bit of it. I want to start by playing a clip from Representative Raskin. He's the Democratic congressman from Maryland, and he is the Democratic ranking House member of the Committee on the Judiciary.
You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by subpoena and by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million. You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there. And you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do. Even worse, you shockingly failed to redact many of the victims' names, which is what you were ordered to do by Congress. Some of the victims had come forward publicly, but many had not. Many had kept their torment private, even from family and friends. But you published their names, their identities, their images on thousands of pages for the world to see. So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked. This performance screams cover-up.
I can't even begin to describe how vile and disgusting it is that they have doxxed these survivors of Epstein without their consent.
Yeah.
It is traumatizing enough that they had to endure this. Now they've had what happened to them put on display, and now they are going to be targeted. And they have not had the ability to speak up if they wanted to on what happened. But the government, despite being told to not out these survivors, did it, but covered the names of the people that committed these crimes. It is unspeakably disgusting. Sorry.
Well, I feel great.
It's really upsetting.
Yeah.
It's really deeply disgusting and upsetting.
For sure.
I thought Ranking Member Raskin spoke very clearly here, and I appreciated his statement.
Yeah.
Moving on. Bondi's tactics during this were to deflect. There was a couple instances that I want to play for everyone now.
Yeah. You could assign this to a class, and like if you're talking about every way that like the modern Republican Party tries to deflect culpability for anything negative, like they all got deployed one after the other in this.
So there were Epstein survivors in person, and Bondi wouldn't even look at them. I want to play a clip from when she's asked to address them here.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi.
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a
General,
specific question
Attorney General
that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
that's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer.
Time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I
will
reclaim my time, it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's
I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say this.
I'll direct it to
what
you.
a massive cover-up.
No, I'm answering a question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is interrupted.
I'm not going to get in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing theatrics.
and let me have my time.
The gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final 17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only to then say that there was no list. Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Elaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up. And I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level.
Chairman,
the chair now recognizes the chair.
Oh man!
Time of the gentlelady expired. The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back. We appreciate the thought.
Despicable.
Oh man!
Disgusting. Despicable. Man. She did not ever turn around and look at these survivors that are in the room. Later, she loses it again when asked why she hasn't indicated any of the Epstein clients and deflects by saying this.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
No, it's not. You are here for.
That's absurd.
You are here.
That's comical.
You are here for a hearing on the Epstein files. You are the Attorney General of the United States, and you are a fucking piece of shit. Fucking nightmare.
It's in response to a question about indicting Epstein clients.
Yeah.
And she just starts talking about the stock market.
Yeah. And not only did she just start talking about it, she clearly came with her stats ready to talk about it, right?
Because the message is it's fine that all this happened and that Trump was involved as long as the economy's good, right? People shouldn't be complaining.
It's cartoon. It's cartoon behavior.
Yeah, like it's not even some kind of sophisticated ruse. They're just going, look over there.
This would be like in like a British like sketch comedy about the government in like the 80s. Like this is like, it's wild.
It's truly horrific. And guess what? I still have more to share. Here is an exchange and another attempt for her to deflect. She tries to bring up Merrick Garland again. This is with the congresswoman from Vermont.
Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once. When he was
weak sauce.
And also, I want the record to reflect that, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Is Jewish. I just want to be clear. Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really?
Pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She's like, yes, yeah. How can I work in being pro-Israel?
Also, again, right, she clearly had, like, if this person speaks, this is what I will say.
It's very clear. She had a material, list cheat sheet of this is how, when this person speaks, this is my dirt on this person. When this person speaks, this is my dirt on this person. Yeah. There are even photos of the dirt she has piled up on each person. She had a sheet of, like, people's search histories, just unbelievable deflection, to say the least. I have one more clip I want to display, and then I'd like to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's the video.
And for reference, this is the very, very popular video of Epstein and Trump, with Epstein wearing that denim shirt and Trump in the pink tie.
They're kind of like elbowing each other and talking about ladies.
Yeah.
Laughing. Yeah.
Laughing at a party.
Like
you've seen it. Yeah.
Former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm going to claim my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock.
Stop the clock. The legislation. This is
time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
She did not answer a single question, honestly. No. She did not give a yes or no answer. Yeah. The Republicans spent the time trying to deflect she had like this sheet of like, well, in your state, this person committed a crime. In your district, this person committed a crime, and tried to deflect in every which way.
Congress people aren't law enforcement.
And the Republicans spent the time praising her and praising Trump and touting their own agenda. And this is not justice. This is sickening. What precedent this sends to people who are survivors of horrific sex crimes.
I mean, the precedent they want to send is don't say shit, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what it sends.
Yeah.
And we can't allow this to go on. We have to keep talking about it. Sorry, I'm just very upset. Pam Bondi, she is one of the most despicable people in the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To get up there with survivors in the room and to not look at them, to not answer a single question, and to continuously deflect and lie, it's impossibly disgusting and very, very, very sad. Very, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I don't know what else to say about it.
It's impossibly disgusting and very, very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that these survivors get some kind of justice someday. We are not going to forget about them. We are not going to stop talking about it. Something has to give here. This is not justice. This is despicable.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen or if anything's going to give in the near future, but people are pissed and hopefully will continue to be, which is, I guess, all we can hope for is that before much longer, the time comes around where we can make sure that these people, including the folks protecting them now, pay. So, Yeah. We got any other news? Or is this...
Nope,
This is a real bummer of an ending. Yeah, well, that's appropriate right now.
Yeah, we reported the news, Gare. Yeah.
I love the news.
We reported the news.
Yep.
James, anything you want to plug at the end here?
Yeah, if you want to email us with news tips, you can email coolzonetips@proton.me. If you want to email us with episode ideas, I will make another email for that, but it makes it significantly harder for all of us going through the news tips email if you just email us with things that you think we should talk about. So we will try and partition those two things off so that we can deal with both of them separately. Okay, bye.
We reported the news.
Hey, we'll be back Monday with more episodes every week from now until the heat death of the universe.
It Could Happen Here is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more podcasts from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can now find sources for It Could Happen Here listed directly in episode descriptions. Thanks for listening.
Life gets messy. Spills, stains, pet accidents, and kid chaos. But with Anabay, cleaning up is easy. Our sofas are fully machine washable, inside and out, so you never have to stress about messes again. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics, that means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Sofas start at just $699. Visit washablesofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Flag football is exploding, and iFlag is leading the way. As the Guinness World Record holder, iFlag hosts premier flag football tournaments nationwide for boys, girls, high school girls, and adults. From first-time players to elite competitors, iFlag delivers top-level competition, unforgettable experiences, and a community built around the game. Ready to be part of it? Join the movement. Find your tournament and learn more at iflag.org. That's iflag.org.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit. Push your gameplay beyond performance with Intel Core Ultra processors for the next era of gaming. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E and maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search. Power up at Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.